The 11th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board.
Happy Sunday, everybody! It's a beautiful day here in the Philippines and welcome sa tahanan ng pinakamalakas na Mobile Legends Bang Bang players sa buong mundo. Ako po si Mara Aquino and this is MPL Philippines Season 11. Ito na ang huling araw para sa ikapitong linggo ng ating regular season. And as the game goes by, hindi lang ang meaning ng Philippine meta ang ating natututunan. Unti-unti na rin natin nakikita ang ating playoffs picture. Tampok nga sa ating unang laban ng isang koponan na upper bracket na ang ipinaglalaban, while the other is fighting to avoid an early exit. Can Doming continue his domination over Bagyong Benny to make sure that the Neon Tigers can still make it to the playoffs? And that's what we're gonna find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Next Play Evos versus Echo. Casters, pasok.
Doming DR is called by many nicknames. On the other hand, Next Play Evos finally got the groove and getting back on their feet by combining chemistry and experience. But the real question of the day is, will Next Play Evos finally overcome the struggles now that they're up against Echo the second time around? Good afternoon, Philippines, and good afternoon, world. My name is DOSX, and for the first time in forever, I'm with Manjin Faldas and Chantel Hernandez. Folks, I'm telling you, this ain't Freaky Friday. This is the Philippine English broadcast of MPL Season 11.
I can't believe that you're too hype. Me too.
How?
It's been a while since I've been here in the English stream, but I'm hyped, but still nothing has changed because the excitement every match here in MPL just is going to be more intense because of the points that the teams want to get. Every point counts.
Yeah, that's really true. And aside from the fact that I'm really sweating, I'm not really sure if it's because I'm nervous to be with you guys here in the English.
Us too! Us too!
Or maybe because it is going to be a really intense fight today.
Well, now as we call on all of the fights of the day, we're calling all Smart and TNT users who are watching us right now to continue to enjoy the power of Smart right now. So be sure to register at smart.com.ph/sim registration and get free 3 gigabytes of data. Now, going back to the point with Manjin and Chantel, it's good to see you here
It's really
on
good to
the
see you too.
English desk. And for the matches of the day, we have 2 headers.
Yeah.
We have Next Play Evos versus Echo, and we have Black versus RSG.
If we're going to look at the standings right now, if you're going to study the standings, NXPE can actually still make it to the playoffs. Meanwhile, you have Echo and Blacklist International already there. But for RSG also, if I'm not mistaken, they only need just a point to be secured.
Correct, because right now Next Play Evos has already 2 remaining matches in the next week. That's week 8. So now this is one crucial matchup that they have up against Echo.
And once you've mentioned the term crucial, actually, when we look at the teams that will be playing right now, a majority of the players, or some of the players, are actually part of Next Play Evos. We have Ren J, we have H2, and we also have Yaoi, the big 3 before from Next Play Evos. So it's going to be an interesting matchup today between those 4 teams that we saw earlier.
Well, speaking of how the match is going to be heated, let's talk about how the gold laners of these 2 teams can affect the matchup. Can Doming VR weather Bagyong or the Storm, Benny, because once they have met back in the first half of the regular season, Echo 2-0'd Next Play Evos, and that was one of the hesitations that were struggling throughout the match.
That's really a hard question to ponder upon. I mean, looking at Doming, you can now actually call his fans maybe the Domingnatics of
maybe the Doming Nation.
Of the Doming Nation because of his performance, especially in using the Beatrix. But, you know, Benny Cutie, the M4 World Champion, is really focused in dominating his lane, plus his chemistry with Yawi outstanding.
Yes, and that is actually true. And when we talk about Doming DR and Benny QT, the only difference that they would have is going to be their veterans. So maybe more on the experience for Benny QT. But the question here now is not really a question anymore. It's really more of a Doming DR to dominate the laning against Benny QT, because they really have to be, performing really well if you're up against the world champions.
Talking about experience, especially in the late game, we always see Echo punishing their enemies every time their enemies make a mistake, and you always see that they get the victory, especially on those extended team fights. You have Benny Cutie's Claude, and sometimes the carry. So I think these are the picks that will be banned here right now.
Well, we're talking about the players, we're talking about the teams. Now, right on our screens, this is the Tagalog version on how Boyet DR is translating, on how he was experiencing the game. And from that, he was so happy that a lot of teams and fans were looking up to them, and now they are more determined to go further and perform better. Next Play Evos, now they came from a loss yesterday and they want to do it back again today.
Sometimes for some of the players, if you are from a defeat, it is more motivational for you to actually perform really well on the next game. So it's something to look forward for Next Play Evos coming to this game. Again, last time they met, it was a game wherein they have jitters. It was the first time at MPL, but now that this is the second time that they will be facing Echo, we might see changes on how they really play, but we'll see that.
I think they need to really dig deeper and play their hearts out right now, because they still can make it, maybe by 1 point. They're up against Onyx and Omega, and if you're going to study it again, maybe they can still reach the points of RSG, but they need straight 2-0s. I've been talking to their coach, which is Coach Josh, and he told me that they can still make it even though they get 2-1s. So they don't need 2-0s. They just need to win some series.
Yeah, and talking about series right now, we need to confirm, we need some point we can compare that. TNC got a 2-0 up against World Champion. So by any chance that this team could get a page out of the book on TNC on how they did it up against Echo? Because right now you guys are talking that Evos or Next Play Evos could have a way of having a good formulated strategy, because in most of their games, it's always like it's so close, but yet so far. But this time, they were performing better with Yelly Haze.
Yes, and Yelly Haze, again, we've mentioned the veteran, so it's a nice matchup, actually, between these two teams, right? And the players, actually, that are part of the roster. And now that we've mentioned that Echo was one of the teams that was defeated by TNC before, it is a motivational boost or a morale boost for NXPE today.
I think Yelly Haze is a great addition to NXPE because of the experience that he has. Every time that they want to do a comeback, Yelly Haze is there to command the team that, hey, we still got it. We can still do this. With that experience, helping this team to go all in, to go get that winning moment. And the fact that Echo lost to TNC, it seems like Echo got affected by the recent patch that we had. Like, for example, you've been seeing a lot of Tanks-a-lots lately.
Tanks a lot.
Yes.
And right now, as we talk about the medals of this game, it's Echo versus Next Play Evo. So now let's throw it over to our backstage. So now, what do you have with us for today? Take it.
Ay, ayun pala. Kung tutusin, ay ngayon, napakarami ng mga namumuong pag-ulan sa Pilipinas. At isa na dito ay ang isa sa mga kilala or unti-unting nakikilalang mga malalaro sa Next Play Evos na si Low Pressure Area Doming, na ngayon ay mga kalaban niya si Bagyong Benny sa bandang ibaba. So mamumuo kagad yung dalawang bagyo at magsasagupaan sila para makita ng napakaraming mga fans ng mga casters at ng buong shooting gallery ang laban na ito. Welcome sa ating pinakaunang series at tapos na ang aking weather forecast. Ipadala na natin ang bagyo. Actually, ihahanda ko na lang din ang aking payong dahil papasok na rin ngayon si Bagyong Benny. Mamaya, ayan, medyo palakas na yung ulan eh. Feel ko nararamdaman ko na siya dito ng konti. Kailangan ba ng payong tol? Ay, hindi ko nga pala yung bagyo. Okay, ngayon, Benny, given na nandito kayo ngayon, congratulations again kasi pasok na kayo ngayon sa playoffs. Pero ang tanong ko sa'yo, meron pa yung, I believe, more or 2 matches at least. And hindi pa rin secured yung inyong upper bracket spot. So, what does the upper bracket mean para sa inyo as a team?
Sobrang laking bagay po para sa akin at sa buong team. Kasi po, pagpasok pa lang po ng regular season, yun na po talaga yung main goal namin. And bukod po sa championship, upper bracket po talaga yung una namin gusto.
Upper bracket, sigurado na yan nga ang gusto, yan ang gusto nilang ma-achieve so far. And in addition to what everybody has mentioned, nagkaroon nga tayo, di ba, ng adjustments with the patch. And alam natin yan sa laro na meron tayo ngayon. So, yung pinakaunang laban nyo with the patch was against TNC, I believe. And unfortunately, it didn't go your way that time. So ngayon, ano yung mga adjustments na ginawa nyo as a team para makabawi kayo sa laban na to ngayon?
Sa tingin ko po, more on drafting po. Kung paano kami mag-a-adjust after na matalo kami ng isang game. And alas doon lang po naglalaro talaga. So, expect niya na mababalik namin yung groove namin.
Right, groove's gonna be of the essence here para kay Bagyong Benny and para sa Echo. And last but not the least, you're gonna be facing up, teka lang, nangangawit na ako eh. You're gonna be facing up against NXPE, isang team na as of the moment is currently reaching for points na gusto nila makuha with the remaining matches that they have. You've been in this situation before kung saan naghahabol talaga kayo ng points para makapasok sa playoffs from before. And now you're sitting very comfortable na pasok na kayo. Ano sa tingin mo yung parang naiisip ng NXP ngayon? How should they prepare themselves for this fight?
Siguro po, parehas lang po siguro kami ng lagay ngayon. Ang magkaiba lang po yung target namin. Siguro po sa kanila yung makapasok ng playoffs. Tapos sa amin po, yung upper bracket. And sa tingin ko po, sobrang halaga para sa aming dalawang magkalaban yung points. Kaya ibibigay namin talaga lahat.
Right, 100% ang ibibigay ng parehas na NXP at Echo para sa laban na to. Any message para sa ating mga Orcas na ngayon patuloy ang suporta sa inyo nasa labas?
Thank you sa mga support nyo. Sana hanggang dulo. Diyan pa din kaya.
Let's not leave things any longer. The Orcas versus the Neon Tigers are gonna be it for the first series, Echo versus Next Play Evos. Casters, kayo naman.
Thank you so much, Shona. Right now, it's Daddy Bagyong Benny from that interview. Now, to go back into context on how we could translate his answers into English, Echo won the World Championship title, but right now, they don't have the MPL Championship title yet. They're more hungry, they're more motivated, but at the same time, as these two teams are hungry for points, they're all also on a mission to what they wanted to do heading to the playoffs.
Besides the fact that they want to get their first ever MPL Championship, they do want to get that first seed on the standings, or maybe just to get the upper bracket. I've been talking to them a lot lately, especially Carl Tizzy, because I always feature him in my blogs. And then he told me, he told me, he calls me Kuya.
Oh, bro.
He calls me Kuya. Bro Manjin, Bro Manjin.
Big bro.
Big Bro Manjin. We really want to get that number one spot because we want to control whoever is going to match up with each other in the playoffs.
Yes, that is true because when we say to the playoffs, there are play-ins. And whoever is seated on the first seed, they are to determine the matchups prior. So it's a good thing that Echo have actually mentioned this because this is week 7, actually last day of week 7. And it really matters for all the teams, the seedings prior playoffs because this is where their tournament lives are actually dictated or it matters the most.
Right now, these two teams are on a full game phase mode. So right now, let's call up Next Play Evos and Echo to welcome them on stage. Take it away, guys. Chemistry and experience is their discovered formula. They now have the key to overcome their fears and finally bounce back. Welcome them back on stage. It's Next Play EVOS! Coming from an awesome movie night, the world champs are more determined to create a winning sequel. Will this be another blockbuster series? It's time to step the beat to the Orcas. It's ECHO! And their coaches, Coach Tic Tac and Coach Josh. It's Next Play EVOS versus ECHO. Who will prevail? I am feeling the heat, intensity, and pressure right now. It's with Next Play EVOS to take back a win up against the world champs.
2 years in the making, 2 years of grinding in the amateur leagues. Finally, they're here and they want to make it to their first ever playoffs. Looking at the stats right now, one player that is really put an interest to me is Mr. Boyet and Brusco, setting up those big plays for Doming to dominate.
Yes, again, this lineup is a type of a lineup wherein they're really more on the confidence in terms of the chemistry. They've been playing again with Yellow Haze. The leadership is there. And actually, there's high kill participation for Yellow Haze with 92%.
Well, now as we talk about stats, let's look up on the world champs. It's ECHO's lineup playing with 26 games, still the same form, but now on a reset and coming from a sweep 2-0.
For me, the main strength of the M4 World Champions is their capability to dominate in the extended team fights, especially if they're up against a Paramis, if they're up against the Estes, all of those healing heroes, and maybe all of those tanky heroes. They can always find a way to go in and outplay each team that they're up against with.
Indeed, true. And aside from finding a way, actually we could see that the overall team head-to-head statistics of our team, ECHO is at second place. They've mentioned earlier that the points for this match is really important for them in terms of seeding, and Next Play EVOS, they're still struggling. Seventh place is not a safe place or not a safe seed if you want to be on the playoff spot, knowing that it is just week 7. And speaking of the importance of this matchup, we could see actually in terms of the most picked heroes, there's a big and huge difference between these two teams. Manjin mentioned earlier that they are really more on the sustain. We could see Lapu-Lapu and even Fredrin for ECHO. Now for Next Play EVOS, it's really more on the damage dealers. We see Farsa, we see Valentina, and at the same time, Beatrix. So it's going to be an interesting matchup.
I also want to take note about the kill participation for the side of ECHO in the first blood ratio. One main difference in terms of the hero lineup, I think, is that ECHO, they always choose to get these tanky heroes who has pickoffs. You have Yawi's Cho and even the Kaja. So if you are NXPE, you need to be fully aware that those heroes are coming in. Those pickoff heroes are one of the main strengths of Echo.
Yeah, I love your point because right now Echo and NXP EVOS, on the other hand, the edge of the world champs is more of like dictating the pace. And
Yep.
the previous masters of NXP, they're more like in the passive approach on how they wanted to read the game. Because in some points, it's blue or red side who has a more upper hand in terms of getting their hero picks. At the same time, it's more of Echo being aggressive, knowing their playstyle and
Echo
even
Express.
identity.
Yeah.
Echo Express, Echo Highlights, whatever you call it, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually for Echo, what I really want to see from Next Play EVOS, since they're up against Echo, is how they will really stop that kind of pacing. Again, we've mentioned that Echo is an Echo Express, and it took them some time to actually slow down that train. And for this type of a system that Echo has, it's going to be difficult for Next Play EVOS. But again, we've mentioned that Yelly Hayes will be playing here for Next Play EVOS, and majority of the heroes that he uses are more on the tempo making.
Well, tempo making, whatever called, there are a lot of heroes at stake even on this match. Now let's break down the keys to victory for our analysts back there. Take it away.
Definitely mainit ang pinaglalabanan ng NXPE at Echo. Para manalo sila, ito ang kanilang gawin. Ito ang ating keys to victory na hatid sa atin ng Infinix now for NXPE. Throw extra bodies versus Sanford. Si Sanford talaga nagpakita nung M4. And actually, pati na rin dito sa ating regular season na kapag hindi mo shut down yung heroes niya during the drafting stage, kailangan mo talaga magbato ng mga katawan para lang may pangbaba ka ng level or may pahina ka sa XP lane ng Echo. Kasi kapag nagagamit nila at na-utilize nila yung mga heroes ni Sanford at kapag nakakuha sila ng early lead, sa kanila talaga napupunta yung mga control pagdating sa mga turtle at pati na rin sa Lord. For Echo, plan for NXP's Big Boy Draft. NXP, they love these tanky heroes, lalo pat yung mga brusko. Hindi yung player, kundi yung mga brusko na heroes na niraran nila both on the roam and XP. At actually pati na rin sa mga jungler, si Boyet DR dito, hindi na siya talaga nagstay doon sa mga assassins. Kahit yung Pakito, ginagawa niyang tank, hindi na assassin build. Kasi ang gusto niya is makakuha talaga ng objective, stay alive in the team fights with the sustain and yung kanyang pagiging tankiness against the opponents. Now, for both teams, be wary of your opponent's timings. For NXPE, kailangan nilang mag-ingat dahil kapag nabigyan mo ng konting lead, ang Echo talagang maaabuse nila yung early game timings naman. But for Echo, it's also true. Kapag NXPE yung nakakawa ng momentum, medyo mahirap basagin yung kanilang mid-game spike dahil aggressive din naman itong kanilang makakalaban. Yan ang kailangan gawin ng ating mga teams dito sa laban na to. Now, casters, back to you.
Thank you so much, Midnight. And to go back to those keys to victory, it's a big factor for Echo that their XP laner gets their hands on their comfort pace. It dictates the game, it dictates the pace. But right now, to go back on the first point, throw extra bodies versus Sanford. What do they mean about this?
I think it means that if you target out Sanford, you are really targeting one of the main focal points for Echo. Because for me, Sanford is the secondary initiator for the team. It's the secondary option, especially if Yahweh doesn't get his early game.
Okay.
It's Sanford who they rely on.
Yes, and actually for Sanford, there are moments wherein he is actually on the buff side of the jungler of the enemy team. So a lot of vision aside from the initiation. Maybe because of that vision, he has the opportunity to be the second initiator of the team.
And we saw it for the first time. The first time that Echo lost up against RSG, they were targeting Sanford's hero pool. That's why I think when everybody saw that, every team saw that RSG won, everybody then got the formula that, hey, we need to target this kid. We need to target the Wonder Kid. So that Echo cannot say nice Ford anymore.
Yeah, because now as we get with the round of the tiers on who is the playmakers of Team Echo, it's Sanford. On the other hand, for next players, we have Ding. Looking at the player head-to-head, we're more on the side of Echo in terms of KDA and team participation.
A lot of difference actually in terms of the playstyle actually for Ding DR and Sanford. We've mentioned Sanford as a player we're in. It is a trend now, right? I really have to cut my analysis on the stats because it has been a trend now with his heart and the like and whatever burger gestures that we could see. But yeah, for Sanford, he's a type of player that goes beyond the usual rotation of the XP laner. Sometimes he's actually the one that dives in between two turrets, and it's very different from Ding DR. Ding DR is a type of player that is a type of an XP laner, which is on the safer side, I would say. There are moments, yes, that he goes in for the initiation, but it's going to be a long, intense match in terms of the XP lanes. And whoever is the first in terms of the backup damage or sustain damage for both of these XP laners is going to be crucial.
Since we're talking about heroes and all about the metas, now let's go back to the history on how Echo and NXP met on the first half of the season. The world champs 2-0'd NXPE with this lineup. It's more on the KDA, it's more on setting up the pace, knowing how Echo approaches the game and how they could be so aggressive once they are fully confident on their own kit. That's where everything comes to show that they have all the ways to be a potential threat even to NXPE.
NXPE, on the last time that they met Echo, they gave up the Cho. Look at that. Game 1 and game number 2, 2 Cho picks and 2 Fredrin picks for the side of Echo. But then again, we had an update at the mid of the season, and it really affected how Echo played. We have these assassins already. We've been seeing Hayabusas, and especially again the Tanksilot, which is, I think, one of the heroes that Carl is not playing anymore. When I asked him about, hey, what do you think about the Lancelot? Do you play?
What did he say?
And he said, nah, I just want to play Fredrin and the Kai.
Oh, so he's really more pushing or pursuing that
utility,
route, more on the utility, and we could see the character development actually for Carteezy.
And now he's adjusting again. He's adjusting again. He is trying it again. Up against NXPE, which is, I think, you also have Ding, that has the Yuzong, has the Lapu-Lapu, has the Benedetta. So these are the heroes that I think that they will vie for.
Yeah.
Especially in the XP lane.
So we're talking about XP laners here. So we are trying to name down the playmakers of the game. So this boils down on how the draft will work. Again, if we go back to the keys to victory, we'll break down a bit on how their first choices is. On this draft, let's see how Echo and Next Play EVOS decides on their fate. Ooh. So if we go back on how Next Play EVOS won, they are more on to the red side, which is, well, it's a 25% win rate because they want to be on the blue side, but it's the opposite right now with Next Play EVOS.
Yep. Actually, it's a nice thing that Manjin mentioned earlier about the Cho pick for Echo that was given for 2 games straight on that last time that they've met. So this is a nice ban actually for Next Play EVOS, even Katida and the Yuzhong. It's interesting to see Yuzhong to be banned here by Next Play EVOS because there are instances wherein they prioritize this hero for Ding DR. So maybe they're routing for a specific hero like maybe Fredrin, so to be more on that safe route in terms of objective taking.
But Echo actually banned out the Fredrin also.
Oh, yeah.
I like the decision of NXPE to really respect the hell out of the M4 champions, banning 2 of the Yawi's main heroes. So if you're gonna look at it, you only have a Kaja and you only have a Franco now for Yawi, and I think there's your answer. If ever Echo goes for those heroes, they have the R-Lot to do the final sweep and cancel out those.
Blacklist International. So hindi na talaga maubusan ng heroes dito si Oh My Venus. For both teams, beware of flanking XP laners. Ito yung kailangang abangan. Maganda yung mga macro gameplay ng dalawang XP laners natin at dyan sila nag-excel. This is what they should.
Loves showing wave as soon as possible.
Yeah, ube your way into the upper bracket. That is the key to victory for Blacklist International. And on your screens, you're seeing, oh, gonna know my Venus. And I know they're gonna be a focus as well in this matchup. I mean, look, both of them have epic Lolita performances all throughout. Chantel, is Ube really going to be the main strat here for Blacklist? Or will they have to think twice about pulling that off because BREN will be ready for it?
Well, definitely for Blacklist International, they really go for the Ube. It has been in their identity. They haven't changed since then, since they introduced this strategy. And at the same time, there might be a contest with the Lolita pick. We saw that earlier, having Ogwen and the Oh My Venus matchup earlier.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I'm gonna rack up a lot of haters here, but Ogwen surpasses Oh My Venus in every category. Hero pool, stats, KDA, assists, team fight presence. I mean, Oh My Venus, of course, is definitely more part of team fights, of Blacklist team fight participation, but Ogwen's conversion has been more phenomenal for BREN Esports.
So it's really more on the battle of leadership in terms of decision making. We've all known that Ogwen is a star player for BREN Esports, and at the same time, Ove Venus is a type of leader that brings in the team whenever they are needed for the team fight. So with Ogwen that has a lot of potential from BREN Esports, he has to be prepared mentally against the Queen.
If ever something comes wrong for Blacklist International, this is something that they have that BREN does not have on Ogwen. It's the Queen's shot call. If the Queen sees something and she calls for it, usually it nets Blacklist AW.
Yeah, it's those shot calls that for normies such as us, we're thinking, are they really going to pull off that play? And then they do, because it's Blacklist International and Oh My Venus. But I'm going to add a counter to that as well, a BREN point of view to that. Ogwen might not be the shot caller for BREN as Oh My Venus is to Blacklist, but who does BREN have? It's few. A veteran and a legend in its own right as we enter the draft. In the previous matchup between these two, the previous meeting, 1-1 was given twice. Let's see if that's going to happen again. Let's see if times will change. Let's see what will happen in the draft.
I believe for 1-1, we won't really see that because we have a strong marksman here for both of our teams. Maybe the Arlot, we've mentioned that earlier. Is there going to be a contest? I'm really looking forward for that Arlot ban. Correct me if I'm wrong, Midnight, with what I'm feeling.
I'm pretty sure if BREN Esports does not ban Arlot, Blacklist gets the first pick hit. But again, it does come to a point where if BREN lets go of both Arlot and 1-1, if you're Blacklist, what do you get? I mean, Owl is a stellar marksman player, but you want... Okay, never mind.
Okay, it's going to be 1-1.
So, Arlot should be up for contention, but here's the problem. Fredrin and Arlot is still up on the table. If none of them removes it, you suddenly open up the option of getting both the Faramis and Valentina to either side. And now for Blacklist International, if your first pick, it's it's a big nuisance because you don't get to dictate how this draft goes because BREN Esports, no matter what, they're gonna get 2 power picks.
Yeah, and I've also noticed a trend for teams going up against Blacklist International, and if they're on the red side, if Estes is open here, what will happen is BREN might actually pick the Lolita as one of their first 2 picks on the red side.
I like
and
it.
then the Estes ends up on the hands of Blacklist International as second and third pick. So just a tendency I've been noticing so far. And even in the last matches, by the way, these 2 teams coming from victories. Blacklist International 2-1 against Onyx and 2-0 versus RSG.
Hot streak.
And BREN Esports 2-0 against RSG as well. So both teams looking very hot. With the bans on the board, Valentina is not going to be a factor here.
Yeah.
So this is what it feels like to be in between two of the best analysts.
I mean, you are an analyst too. So.
That's what I feel like. Oh, that's coming from the first ever winner of the best Filipino caster, and the first one to do it as an analyst. That was you last season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Ooh, Arlot. Okay, Arlot ban warrants a Fredin pick or a Faramis. Because Valentina is out, you just choose between 2.
Ooh,
They go for the Lapu-Lapu. Okay.
Is this the first time that Blacklist International is to pick Lapu-Lapu on their first pick? Because we usually see Fredrin more on the jungle heroes or maybe a hero for Owl. So this is very interesting for Blacklist International. And Lapu-Lapu is a type of hero that when we say mobility is not really on a high standard, maybe more on the clearing of minion wave and AoE damage.
Yeah, and I think I get why they're taking away the Lapu-Lapu. They don't want to go up against the Flapu-Flapu.
This is anti-flap. This is Blacklist draft trying to completely negate the presence of the Flapu-Lapu. And I like the answer. They go for Fredrin and Eve because you know that Blacklist is not going to pick up the Claude. So for Blacklist, they don't have the Eve option anymore for UED. They don't have the Valentina. Next best thing is Savior. That's the only remaining hero for
Farsa.
For UED. Or Farsa. And you can also pick up the Melissa. But both are, they're not inherently bad against Fredin and Eve, but they suffer during the fights. Because if you let go of the, Feathered Airstrike and you have the Melissa, you're susceptible to being closed out with the reload manipulation of the Eve, and then the Fredrin comes into play because he can play around those areas wherein he can just commit a lot of crowd controls over the side of Blacklist. So they go for the Farsa and Estes. Now you get Claude for Supermarker, one of the best Claude players on the side of BREN Esports.
This is actually a nice pick for Blacklist International. They really want to go in par with this AoE damage from Forza and Eve. So we've mentioned earlier, we've asked if they are to go for the Ube strategy. So here's the answer. They want to go in again for this Estes. Maybe another hero that has sustain for the jungle.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, since Blacklist International didn't really go for Freddy, we might see a different hero for Wise.
Oh.
Call me
As a
crazy,
jungle.
Lapu Lapu jungle. It's a thing.
Really?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Have you guys seen it?
Why is it a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Why is it? I mean, I've tried Lapu Lapu jungle. Feels awesome because you don't need to build up any damage because Lapu Lapu just deals so much damage, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, we
of
forgot
course.
about Fanny.
Of course, Kyle TZ, he picks up because here's the thing, BREN Esports, they are willing to play Fredrin jungle,
Yeah.
but when they saw Lapu Lapu Farsa Estes, no crowd control whatsoever, you automatically get Fanny. And if Blacklist does not ban out the Claude, they still are able to get Claude on first pick, second phase. And you don't have any answers to that because the only limited options that you have, it's going to come from both the gold lane and jungle. Jungle is now being controlled by BREN Esports. The only remaining counter against Fanny is Akai. That's why it gets removed out. So this is phenomenal drafting, world-class drafting, I would say, from Coach Duck and Coach BREN.
Yeah, man, your Lapu Lapu jungle suggestion is looking more and more like a possibility here. Because what else is available on the table? I mean, the Alice is going to feel too slow in my point of view.
Especially against Alice. No.
No, you can't do that. And then
Against a Fanny.
it's a Fanny you're up against, a Lapu Lapu. I get it. You also get that the crowd control avoidance when you bring out the bravest fighter, so it makes sense.
I would say, okay, respect for the Baksha ban. I would say you remove, you get Petrify heroes for Blacklist International. That is if they are going for the Lapu Lapu jungle. If not, I think Barats is still an option for Blacklist International because you don't play the CC fight against BREN Esports, you play the sustain game.
Yep.
And it's hard for BREN Esports to burst down its Barats. It's because of the fact that Estes is here, and if you focus too much resources on the Barats, you also have to deal with the Lapu Lapu.
Yeah, that's actually true. And the usual combo for Blacklist International having Estes are those type of heroes. So Barretts could be one. And why do I feel like for Blacklist International, it's a good idea for them to actually take Moskov if they're up against Fanny.
For the gold laner,
Yeah, and it's a nice option for them. So could be one, but it's gonna be carry ban here for BREN. So
it's a Moscow pick.
yeah, so they're really going towards that sustain type of hero for Wise. And by the way, Blacklist International, we haven't seen this before, but there's an option for them also to do that tank slot type of
Oh,
play.
bring out Wise's Season 4 performance capability on the Assassins, but put it on tank.
I like this.
It's Wise signature.
I like it. It's like we're writing fan fiction, but it makes a lot of sense.
Because it has a lot of reference.
Yeah, we have a lot of references backed up by numbers. Like everything we've said, all the options that we've posited here make a lot of sense
footnote
to
on
me.
the back.
Yeah, the Moskov
Claude.
sounds great.
Oh, I like this, Brody.
BREN
Okay.
goes Brody. I really thought they'd end up going Claude, but I think they want to go for a tighter formation.
Yeah.
But doesn't this put a lot of pressure onto Flap TZ? Because most of the time he'll be the one diving, maybe even alone.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you think about how you want to fight against Fredrin, you'd naturally group up, and your suspects to the torn apart memory coming out from the Brody. And the one thing that I like about Brody is there are 3 marksmen in the game that can deal with the Lapu Lapu. It's the Claude, it's the Carry, and it's also the Brody. And I feel like this is the reason why they picked it up on the side of BREN. Now, Blacklist, do you go Barats or Guinevere for Wise? That is the question.
Right,
because
the Gwyn.
I feel like Beatrix is a likely pick for Blacklist International, even though you'd want the Moskov, but Moskov he doesn't just do anything against the Brody. So I feel like Beatrix is more of a option here for Blacklist. So they did go for the Beatrix and Barats, but I am concerned because Diggy is on the table for BREN Esports.
And we all know that BREN Esports has been using a Digi for Ogwen, so it is a type of a hero that could really negate that only crowd control, I believe, for Blacklist International.
No Detona's welcome.
No Detona's welcome. Maybe a counter as well for the bravest fighter here coming in from Edward. And for BREN, they really want to have that space for the Brody, having this Fanny on their lineup, knowing that the playstyle of Kyle TZ is a type of jungler wherein if there's a possibility to go later than the others for a team fight, Fanny is the best option for them.
Are we gonna get it? Will we
Dig it.
hear a hoot hoot? Is it the owl?
Give me the
See, we
hoot hoot.
heard it. There it is.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
it's
no.
not. Oh,
It's
was
a-
that you?
Yeah, that was me.
I really thought that was it.
So
No.
it sounds like Diggy.
Yeah, Midnight, you sound like Diggy. You got me there. But it is going to be a Lolita for Ogwen.
Yeah.
The possibility that we did bring up even before the draft started. So, in a way, we did get to see the things that we thought would happen
Yeah,
beforehand.
it's a much safer pick, I would say, because it is already a counter against Barats, and it also is capable of dealing with the Estes. But my main concern is if Blacklist just decides to run over them, and if they get enough of a momentum on the early game, I feel like BREN Esports is a lineup, they just crumble to the pressure that Blacklist has, especially with Ube in minute 4, minute 5.
And when we say Ube, yes, the natural counter is that Num Num Blast coming in from the Lolita, but it has to be perfect with the timing. And we all know that Purifiers can be a headache with those type of AoE crowd control. So timing is a battle here and is a factor for both of our teams coming to this game.
Good to see the heroes back. Feels like I haven't done this in such a long time. At some point in the game, a poll will show up. You only have until the timer runs out to comment your prediction with the hashtag #SmartPowersMPL-S11. Get a good look at the ruins of an area of the Land of Dawn and the heroes posited. The possibilities brought up. The potential, a 4 to 5 minute early game Ube. Now, the question I'm going to ask here is, does BREN Esports have enough counter punish when they go up against Blacklist and Blacklist brings out the heals?
Yeah, again, that's the main concern, especially when they picked up the Lolita. You want to be able to fight into Blacklist International, but you don't have enough power in terms of stopping them. Because your main worry is that if this Lolita and Fanny combination does not work in the early game, you're still susceptible to being ran over by Blacklist International. That's why the Digi pick sounded much, well, I call Lolita a safer pick now that I think about it. I think Diggy was safer because you do get that counter initiation with the Times Journey. You get the shields from it. And you also have the capability of just completely negating the slows coming out from the Barats and the Estes. But with the Lolita, it does give them late game power in terms of initiation if this does go to late game. Because BREN Esports, although you are seeing a Fanny and Brody, it's a much scarier lineup compared to Blacklist late game because the only thing that they need to do is snipe out the Beatrix.
Yeah, that's actually true. And for the side of Blacklist International, knowing that they have the Estes, I believe that having this type of hero on their lineup makes them more aggressive. Knowing that in terms of the late game, yes, there is the roam boots for the Estes, but once it is activated, the level 4, I mean, that ultimate, it is a type of Blacklist International that they are just really ready for the team fight. And the thing is, now that we have seen changes in the meta, we can see rotations on the XP lane, so even the initiation on those rotation is going to be crucial for both of our lineups, especially for BREN Esports, because you want to hide that Numinum Blast from Ogwen. You need that frontliner for it to be effective.
Yeah, there's a lot of worries for the roam on the side of BREN Esports. It's not an easy Lolita game. Quick side note though, Brody is the tallest hero in MLBB.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, in the drafting, he's huge.
Yeah, he's huge. He even dwarfs Fredrin.
He's taller than he's Brody.
He's Brody.
Because he's broad.
Yeah.
And he's tall. Yeah,
I like it. I like
he's broad
it.
and tall.
I like it.
I
Wordplay.
like it.
But yeah, again, this is going to be a game wherein they're really fighting for the upper bracket seed, or maybe the top seed here in our playoffs, and the leadership for our captains, and at the same time, how they will really play against each other.
You hear the fans in the background. Welcome to Friday Night Fight Night here in MPL Philippines. Midnight. What are the conditions early on for both teams?
Well, for BREN Esports, again, they have to make this Lolita work. They have to make Blacklist bleed on the early parts of the game when they are not capable of fighting yet. Come minute 3, minute 4, that's the time where you feel Blacklist's strength. So again, make use of the combination that you have in the middle lane, harass with the with the Eve and the Fanny, and make sure that you get enough resources and get the first objective of the game to limit Blacklist momentum in the mid game.
Yeah, that is indeed true, and we could see a slow start actually for our teams. Even the Visionaries are just positioning themselves on the brushes, and we don't really see this come into week 5. So a more stable game for both our teams.
Yeah, taking things nice and easy, slow and steady.
Oh!
Flap there, a little bit of a Michael just getting it.
But in the top lane, that is going to be a first blood. For Kyle TZ of BREN Esports. There's going to be a delay on that Blessing of the Moon Goddess from Oh My V.
Yep. This is the strength of a Fanny, especially with, I mean, against a lineup that has no crowd control. He can just, move around the map.
Yeah, and now, a few seconds before the turtle spawns there, it's up. He's going to get it. Kaltizi going in. Ooh, hero focus.
We see Kyle TZ, Mitona's welcome from Wise, and it's going to be cancelled here. But we can see right now the players of BREN Esports zoning out the players of Blacklist International. Voice will disengage because he is already low on life, and first turtle most probably will go to BREN Esports as Blacklist International, which just move out. But we will see Edward with the rest of the players, and first turtle will go to BREN Esports.
He cannot contest that.
Yeah, it'll be way too difficult. I mean, I probably would have contested it, but that's why I'm still stuck in Epic.
Well, I do love the the understanding coming out from Kyle TZ. He knows that he is a Fanny. There's no way in hell, even in the land of dawn, that he can be caught out by the Tona's welcome. So when he saw Wise there, he was like, okay, I'm gonna try and take down this dinosaur. No crowd control, cannot eat me. I can just fly away.
It's a lot easier for Kyle TZ during that moment, but right now for BREN Esports, they are on the lead in terms of gold, and this is the usual Blacklist play. When we see this Barats and Estes, they're just really waiting for the perfect moment. But again, on the top lane, that is gonna be a kill by Super Marco against Owl.
Such a crucial kill as well, level 5 on the Brody, and it hurts because you have Sustain on the Barats, but Beatrix is solely your damage dealer in mid-game, even though you have a Lapu Lapu, he's going to play backline later on. And this Beatrix is the core element to how Blacklist can be able to play in the mid-game. So that kill suppresses, again, Blacklist's capability for the mid-game spike.
Yeah, slow and steady are these two teams right now. Very calculated in terms of where they're going to get their pickoffs. Kyle TZ finding Wise.
Ooh, look at that damage from Kyle TZ. Again, Kyle TZ is as if a bird that is just looking for those players from Blacklist International, giving information as well for his teammates. And look at that, almost the K gold lead for a BREN Esports as the turtle will spawn in 15-second time.
Yeah, but if you're a BREN Esports, you're not going to be happy with that, especially Kyle TZ. He just tried and taken down the dinosaur. He didn't have enough damage, and you also have to worry about the SS later on. So I think BREN Esports, they know for a fact that Blacklist spike is going to happen soon. And again, this is going to become a problem. If you cannot take down the Barats, he will just provide massive frontline defense for Blacklist.
Yeah, fighting in the turtle. First build Radiant Armor already up for Wise.
Turtle life is already low, but we will see Kyle TZ from the back. Oh my goodness, it's a target.
Oh!
But the turtle will go to few. BREN Esports will secure that. Look at the sustain for Blacklist International. Oh my goodness, it's down. The cables are there. They are everywhere. And another kill for BREN as the goal lead is now 2.5k.
Cables are there everywhere, plus some damage to boot. BREN Esports, that's a big victory. And I think Blacklist International knew what might happen midnight because Owl already went for that bottom lane switch, and Flap still getting that crab coin.
Yeah, again, the plays coming out from Flap TZ, he is negating the presence of the heroes on the side of Blacklist International because of the crowd controls that he has, especially with the energy eruption. But again, as you've mentioned, Blacklist, they knew that they cannot compete against BREN Esports at the moment. That's why they place the Beatrix on the bottom lane. This is where they excel at, resource management, resource control, and they know where they are weak, they know where they are strong, and mid-game is what they're looking at, and they're trying their best to get to that point, and they know that the Beatrix needs to get to that point. So they put Owl on the bottom lane, sacrifice the turtle, but they try to do it anyway because you have to address this at some point. You have to compete with BREN.
Yeah, and actually for BREN Esports, we could see the shift from being really aggressive to now a team that is waiting for the perfect moment to actually be on that place or that position to go up against Blacklist International in this formation. They're really aware. Look at the respect actually with the formation of Blacklist here at the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's like BREN knows where Blacklist want to go. But,
In an instant, that is the cutthroat for Kyle Teasy. And here comes BREN Esports, but retaliation is there for Blacklist International. Yue with the kill. Ogwen is going to be the target. Flicker out for Ogwen, and the rest of BREN Esports is dealing damage because those stacks from Super Margo. Torn apart memory, not enough damage. Flicker in for Platisi. And there is going to be the Appraiser's Wrath. Another kill for BREN Esports.
That was super smooth coming out from Flapteasy. Flicker in Energy Eruption and then Appraiser's Wrath. Oh, my Venus was not willing to commit the heal.
that was genius. The flicker into the taunt. My goodness. We talked about the flap factor that BREN Esports has, and he comes up big. The Blacklist are still contesting this
Kyle.
turtle.
Again, from the back, is going to be the target, while the rest of BREN Esports and Blacklist International is fighting for this turtle objective. Who's going to win this? Here comes the real-world manipulation. But it's a new way, but the retribution battle is going to be on the hands of Kyle Teasy. Kill spree for Super Marco.
Oh, the flicker in!
The flicker again. Aggression
Board!
for BREN Esports. Another kill. 3 players down from Blacklist International.
This is how you know a team is in the lead. They are calculated with forward flickers, Midnight.
You know, there's no pressure with BREN Esports. They know for a fact that they need to win. They need to capitalize on the momentum that they have. And again, as you mentioned, those flickers are very, very important, because if you manage to shut down the timing of Blacklist International, you have this window wherein you can just continuously play, because you out-damage the sustain that Blacklist has. You don't have to worry about the mistakes that you can commit as long as you're choosing the right targets and Flapteasy controlling the right heroes. BREN Esports can just continuously man-fight against Blacklist.
Oh, okay. BREN Esports still in the lead, still dominating. And you can clearly see how much homework they did as Edward will be forced back. BREN Esports eyes set. Getting that top turret though. Here comes Wise going forward.
That is an eye set from Wise. It's going to be the better insert from Yue. There is the damage. A player's down for BREN Esports, where the rest of the players are trying to fight for their life.
Oh, it's Kyle.
Teasy.
Oh!
Again, the cable man. Kyle Teasy with the damage. 3 players down.
Oh my
Actually 4
God.
from Blacklist.
They did not see that at all. I mean, from the cross map, he came from the middle lane and he was able to catch up towards that fight on the top lane. And sustain, again, is not a problem at the moment, because they just have so much damage on the side of BREN Esports, especially with Super Marco having the Blade of Heptasis. He is able to output so much physical damage onto the frontline targets. And even if Blacklist tries to run, Funny can just, you know, chase them into their base.
Yes, actually, moments before that kill from Kyle Teasy, he was actually securing his buff. So look at the displacement and mobility of this hero. Now Blacklist International, we're waiting for the mid-game sustain coming from the team. But look at that, BREN Esports will start this Lord objective, and there's going to be no contest from Blacklist. It's going to be critical for them if they have the forces. Take note that they have the minion wave clearing. But now Nubi Blast from Ogwen. They want to go against Twice, but Kyle Teasy will secure that Lord. We can see again Kyle Teasy to be part of the team fight, dealing damage against the players of Blacklist International. They're forced to back away. Again, a flicker from Black and a godlike for Super Marco. The space, the initiation, the implementation, it's just there for BREN Esports.
Dude, the trio of BREN Esports, Few, Ogwen, and Flapteasy, they're just shutting Wise completely down. Few with the Void Crystals, Ogwen forcing out the Tonos welcome with the Numenon Blast, and Wise, he had no choice. And Flapteasy, he does not care if he dies at all. He just wants to fight. He wants to frontline for BREN Esports, because he knows that there's so many follow-ups that will be coming out from both Ogwen and Few, especially with Super Marco and Kyle Teasy dealing the damage. So this playstyle from BREN Esports is shutting down the frontline defense of Blacklist.
Oh, it feels like I'm watching M4 all over again, and how Echo shut down Wise in the grand finals. BREN Esports, it's like they remembered that series and said, hey, I think we can do that again. Oh, under the tower.
Speaking of doing it again, here comes the Blast. Catches not.
Again, Flapteasy.
But on the top lane, another secure. Wise is down. Take another player from Blacklist. It's going to be Edward. You can see BREN Esports just diving. And Kyle Teasy is still alive as the Lord will march in here at the bottom lane. But look at the discipline of BREN Esports. After that objective, they just go away and they just back away and back to what we're doing.
Yeah, and they needed to be disciplined there. They didn't take down the mid tower just yet. It was a good call. What else did BREN do right there, Midnight?
Well, Flapteasy, again, not caring about his own life. standing in front of the towers of Blacklist International, just making sure that nobody goes outside. And Blacklist, when they went inside their base, Kyle Teasy went for the chase. He was able to get 1 kill inside the own home of the agents. And this is where you start feeling that there is already no hope, because resource management, it's no longer possible for Blacklist International. Teasy is making sure that nobody leaves the base.
Yeah, actually, even for Blacklist International, again, we've mentioned about crowd control here, and there's no really stopping against Kyle. He's
look at
speeding
Kyle!
off. He comes from the back. Look at that. BREN Esports, again, you will use that real-world manipulation as the middle lane is going to be destroyed for BREN Esports. Another turret down, and Flappy now has the blade armor.
Yeah, very, very critical item, because Blacklist International, the only way you shred through the HP of Flapteasy is through the damage output coming out from Owl. And he can no longer do that because the damage will also be reflected, and he is susceptible to dying against Stefani. And one thing that I want to harp on about the playstyle of BREN Esports, they're overcommitting on the Barats. And this is something that you don't see every day, fully committing on a hero. But guess what? Barats does not have Purify. They don't have any save mechanism aside from the heal. What they can do is use all their resources to control the Barats on the front line so that Kyle TZ does not have to worry about any form of saves on Owl. So this is just BREN Esports saying to Blacklist, pull everything towards the Barats and leave your backline with no safety precautions. And Kyle TZ is just abusing that window that he has where he can just shut down anybody on the side of Blacklist.
And look at that, another free lord here for BREN Esports. No major objectives taken yet by Blacklist International. 17-2. The keyword here is commitment. They knew their assignments going into this series. And BREN Esports just committed everything that they studied and executed it to near perfection. Now on the cusp of getting game number 1.
Yeah, indeed. We could see the leader.
Oh, Kyle again!
Again, the damage of Kyle TZ is against a hero that is supposed to be more on the sustain side, but almost already more than half of the HP. So this is going to be deadly here for Blacklist International. They need those fortress. They need that fortress, rather. They need that sustain as much as possible, and they really have to look forward on the entry of Kyle TZ.
Yeah.
The Lord is here on the middle lane. This might be it for BREN Esports. We're still waiting for that initiation play. But you see right now, Wise is already low on life. Reward manipulation for Pew. And Flappy again with that aggressive critical play. And Ogwen on the backside. Killing spree for Flappy. Here comes the bait and the tower lock for the side of BREN. 1-0.
Spearheaded by the CEO of TZ Entertainment, the Flap Factor coming in big. It wasn't just Flap. That was the entirety of BREN Esports in near God mode against Blacklist International.
Yeah, for BREN Esports, this is a type of team that doesn't really doubt on using those flickers just to initiate. If I am playing, I use flicker to escape. But for BREN Esports, they're using it to initiate.
Yeah.
If you've watched BREN week 1 to week 6, and it felt like they're strong, this game is different. BREN looked unstoppable against Blacklist International, and it's really crazy how they commit their skills without any form of hesitation. Blacklist does not get it at all. Like, they don't understand what's happening, and they cannot react to that.
Yeah. One of the most impressive BREN Esports individual game performance I'm sure all of us have seen this season. What else stood out for you there, Chantel, in terms of like, man, how did BREN Esports pull this off?
Well, one thing is how Flap TZ really played. It's as if he's the tank of BREN Esports, and at the same time how they focus fire on a specific hero.
Yeah.
We could see the purpose of all the heroes that they chose. They chose during this game, even the Fanny, having Fredrin as their XP lane. It's really more on how they really drafted this game, and at the same time how they're able to implement that type of hero composition.
Yeah, and it seems like the adjustment as well in the draft for BREN
Yeah.
Worked out well.
Definitely.
That swerve where that Fredrin went into the XP lane, and again, we talked about the Flap factor, what happened in their first meetup earlier in the season, where Flap actually got to shut down or match Edward. This game, undeniable, Flap just shut down the presence of Edward.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't expect this from Flap TZ, even though we've seen them, we've seen him come up with better plays, but this is definitely Flap TZ.
Yeah.
With world class.
Oh my goodness. We didn't get Flapu, but we did see world-class Flap back in action. You saw that right. That was BREN dominating against Blacklist International. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more that Midnight over there can dissect from this game. So, Midnight, talk more through it.
Well, there are definitely a lot more that happened in this game, but I want to say that there's a lot of confidence coming out from BREN Esports' gameplay, and the commitment that they've showed in this game was phenomenal. Blacklist International, when I said earlier that they don't get it, it's because of the fact that you don't see this every day. You don't see BREN Esports fully committing on a target without having to worry about the punishment and the mistakes that they will commit. And that is BREN Esports' core gameplay this game. They did not let Blacklist International think about how they can approach this game. They just went with it. They kept on jumping in, they kept controlling heroes on the side of Blacklist, and they didn't have any time to react to that at all because there's just so many things happening in this game, so many crowd controls as well from the lineup of BREN Esports, especially with FlapTZ leading the charge. A lot of crowd controls went on the front line against Wise, and Wise was not able to do anything because he was already up against a Fredrin. He was also dealing with the presence of the Lolita, with the Numenon Blast, and of course the jumps and the reload manipulation box that he has to play in. Now, Blacklist International, the answer that they've tried to go with was to protect the Barats on the front line. But one thing is for certain, BREN Esports was definitely targeting the back line. Yes, if they manage to take out the Barats, that's good. But Kyle TZ and Super Marco's mission and goal in life is to punish the back line. Ogwen and FlapTZ was in charge of the front line with the support coming out from Pew with the amount of slows that they had, but the damage was overwhelming as well from Super Marco. So even if they don't die the backline on the side of BREN Esports, they don't care at all because Kyle TZ will always be able to finish the job after the front line has been completely negated. And that was the main problem of Blacklist International. Wise was not able to stand his ground against the immense damage coming out from this Brody, and Super Marco was well farmed off. He was sitting at 969 GPM by the end of the game, was able to get a lot of gold going on for him and get the damage output that they needed. But the man of the hour is Fanny on Kyle TZ. Yes, you heard that right. Fanny on Kyle TZ, 807. What a beautiful performance coming out from the jungler of BREN Esports. Again, the mindset of playing into the Barats really came into play here. He knows that he cannot be taken down, he cannot be controlled, so he just kept going in. He kept going in, going out, and Blacklist International, they had no answers against Stefani, and he was able to abuse that for the majority of this game because, again, there's no crowd control on the side of Blacklist International. The plan was simple. You can prod and poke on the early game. Come the late game, your main target are the backline heroes. That was the reason why Al was not able to play in this game for Blacklist. The Beatrix was completely shut down, and from the very first few minutes, Cal TZ already knew his advantage. He went towards the top lane, got a kill, and even poked the Barats on the first turtle take. Now, in this specific Lord fight, this is where you saw the FlapTZ effect, the flicker in with the energy eruption, and a lot of outplays going on for the side of BREN Esports. Kyle TZ was jumping from miles away. He was not in the vision of Blacklist International. That's why the agents were completely surprised. There you go, FlapTZ with the flicker initiation, and Oh My Venus did not expect the damage output at all. He was bursted down from half HP to 0. That's how powerful the Fredden is if he has full stacks, and of course enough damage taken, absorbed, and that is converted into damage. Now, BREN Esports, they were again continuously fully committing on the Barats so that when Blacklist International tries to re-engage and support Wise on the front line, there's no longer any form of support on the back line. Now, that was the sole reason why Kyle TZ was able to have this amazing access towards Owl, and also the reason why Blacklist cannot fight at all because their sole damage dealer is not present on the majority of these fights, and that was the catalyst for BREN Esports' success on game number 1. Again, no answers whatsoever from the side of Blacklist International against the main hero of this game, which was the Fanny of Kyle TZ.
Man, that felt like a statement game.
Yeah.
Like BREN Esports knows what they could get if they get a 2-0 victory here. And it looks like they're not playing around. They're just like, we want that upper bracket. We want that top seed.
Definitely a statement. But I believe for Blacklist International, now that we're coming to game number 2, there could be adjustment. A natural counter most likely for having a Fanny as an enemy hero. They should really be aggressive on trying to negate that Fanny of a buff as much as possible.
Oh, yeah. Buff negation, but seemed like, again, you posited that potential solution. Seems like BREN Esports are like one step ahead of the game now in terms of like what they gotta do, their in-game rotations. We didn't get to discuss Few a lot in that series, but then in that game, but Few's rotations as well, very timely with pressuring Weiss in the jungle alongside Flap TZ. BREN Esports, man, they wildin' right now. And speaking of wildin', let's go on over to the awesome crowd here in Shooting Gallery Studios with our very lovely Mara Aquino.
We're here with VVIP, very, very important people. Nandito si Trike, the one and only. Look, Haji is here, and Uncle Eson. Kamusta kayong lahat? Let's start with Trike. It's your first time visiting this season. What's special about today? Dahil ba top seed BREN ng kalaban?
Siguro for me, syempre marami kaming mga shuffles na ginawa during the season, and when it comes to the lineup, may mga bagong mga dumating. So for me personally, alam ko rin kasi yung pressure na bit-bit ko pag manonood ako. So hindi muna ako nanood ng mga unang mga weeks just to make sure na okay na muna yung composure ng team. And I feel like having yung win streak na meron kami, this is the perfect time to assess kung playoff ready na ba talaga yung Blacklist.
At nakita mo yung first game, sabi mo nga, composure. What's happening? Kinakabahan ka ba ngayon?
Hindi naman. I think we've been through this multiple times.
That's right.
And what really matters for us is full form kami coming to the playoffs. Siguro itong, kung makuha muna naman namin yung upper bracket, it's a bonus. Pero pinaka-important is yung form talaga ng team.
Meron kang binanggit, bonus. Okay, how do you keep your team motivated para sa championship? Kasi alam ko, inside scoop, last season, may pinramis ka sa kanilang very luxurious phone. So, yung incentives mo sa kanila for this season, can you give us like an inside scoop?
I think for us naman, we're really doing our best to reward our players, especially when it comes to winning. Pero siguro, etong specific season na to, hindi namin sinet yung tone that way because we understand that going into the season, katulad dyan si Haji nag-rest, maraming mga ibang mga nag-rest, diba? So for us, yung reward is more of paano kayo maghahanap ulit ng motivation na bumawi after the loss that happened with Echo. Kasi syempre di naman talaga biro yun eh. For me, it's enough of a motivation, and by the time na papasok na ulit tayo sa next season, siguro doon na lang kami ulit magsiset kasi that's going to the World Championship by then.
So yung goal, yung motivation niyo, pero nakikita ko yung mga vlogs, ang ganda ng bootcamp nila, yung office niyo also.
Siguro
paganda
yung
ng
Yakult
paganda.
na lang. Mas maraming Yakult ngayong season.
Hey, by the way, ang nakasalalay din dito, kapag top 2 is MSC, the only title that Blacklist hasn't gotten yet. What would they say about Blacklist, and what's going to happen kapag nakuha nila yung slot na yon?
Siguro generally like for us, we're very happy with the whole run na meron kami for the past 2 years. Pero hindi naman nawawala yung part na syempre gutom pa rin kami to win more because yun yung mahirap sa esports eh. Parang you're only as good as your last performance. So alam mo yun, minsan pag natalo ka ng isang world championship, nakalimutan na lahat nila lahat nung nagawa namin prior to that. So that's the reason why we need to continuously be motivated to make sure that we prove ourselves every season. So when it comes to MSC, obviously yun yung hindi pa namin talaga nakuha. And I will probably quote Edward na kaya niya gusto talaga maglaro ngayon season kasi yun daw yung wala pa siya.
Oh, speaking of Edward, okay, meron tayong Hall of Legends nomination right now. Nakikita ko nga, ang dami yung post to promote Edward. Putting you on the spot here, sino ang iboboto mo para sa Hall of Legends?
Actually, sinabi ko na rin to sa Blacklist page, pero sige, let me repeat this again here. For me, it's also Edward because syempre at this point, pagdating, kung titingnan mo yung Blacklist, gusto mo na talagang sumali sa squad na to eh. Kasi with everything that we've achieved. Pero during the time kasi na nag-sign sa amin si Edward, wala pa talaga kami noon. Like, zero pa yung Blacklist. Kaya nga din, in a way, sobrang match yung term na Agent Zero. So, ako para sa akin, I will really vote for Edward because one, for the loyalty, and second, it's because he believed when nobody believed.
Oh, Edward, ang kanyang vote. Oy, nag-iingay yung mga crowd dito. Haji, my gosh, ang tagal. Wow! Dami mo pa rin fans. Sinong iboboto mo? Ikaw naman, for Hall of Legends.
Tingin ko para sa akin sa Edward talaga kasi kung pinagtitignan ko yung mga ibang team parang wala akong makita na tatapat kay Edward eh.
Ay, by the way nung nakita ni Edward, nung lumabas si Edward, ang laki ng smile niya nung nakita ka niya, pinraps ka niya. Let's talk about yung relationship niyo. Lagi ba kayo nagkikita pa din ngayon? Bumibisita ka ba ng bootcamp?
Minsan na lang po pag kailangan po sa mga deliverables, pupunta po ako sa bootcamp. Ganun.
Oh,
Yun po.
may nagbago ba kay Edward? Simula nung nakatira ka with him and then now, anong nagbago sa kanya?
Wala naman po, ganun pa rin kami. Close pa rin.
Very,
Opo.
very close. Anong pinagkakabalahan mo?
Nag-ML po. Nagra-rank game.
Kinakabahan daw siya kanina nung binigay sa kanya yung mic. And what else are you doing? Kasi nakikita ko minsan, you're on the trip. Di ba nagpapagawa ka ng bahay?
Opo.
Ooh,
Tsaka din
kamusta
po,
yan?
minsan check ko rin po yun. Yun po yung pinagkakabalan ko talaga.
Lagi ba kayo
Nagpo-post po
nagkikita?
ako.
Kayo ni Uncle Eson? Uncle Eson, ikaw naman, anong pinagkakabalahan mo ngayon?
Yung kapag nami-miss ko yung team, dinadalo ko sila. Sana miss nyo rin ako.
Ikaw din, di ba nagpapagawa ka ng bahay?
Apo,
The fruit of
dinadalaw-dalaw
being
namin.
from Blacklist. O,
Yes.
kamusta na ngayon?
Ayun, malapit na. Sana matira na namin. Ayun.
Oh, they're very, very inspired. Sino naman iboboto mo para sa Hall of Legends?
I nominate Edward J. Dapadap. Ayan.
At bakit?
Sa sobrang tagal na namin nagsama, nakita ko talaga sa kanya yung grabe yung passion niya sa paglalaro, yung determination. Ayun. So, ayun, I nominate him.
You nominate him.
I love him.
Okay, Uncle Eson, kilala ka namin bilang, how do you say this, ang galing ng impersonation mo. Kailangan na natin bumalik sa ating laban. Ito-throw na natin sa ating casters. Dito, nandito yung camera. Okay, kunyari ako ikaw, go ahead.
Casters, pasok.
Oh man, Uncle Eson looking fresh. He's starting to look like Nephew Eson there. But of course, beside him, we also heard from the KDA machine, Haji. Good to see them back in the studio visiting here.
Yeah, and I really like how they answered the questions. Actually, they are really full support for their team today. And I have to say this, they look really fresh.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, well, when you're building a house, you have to look fresh.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of players from the Blacklist camp is building their own houses. Ome Venus built their house with Wise.
That's so
They
true.
vlogged about it. Haji has been building his house for I think a couple of months now.
Yeah. Coach
And I didn't know that. Yeah, Coach Bond
had his house built and is buying even more motorbikes.
I didn't know that Essen was building a house as well.
Yeah, me neither. So it's good to see we got to catch up to the former players of Blacklist International, and of course them talking about Edward and his influence and his legacy, not only to Blacklist, but to our league. Now, Hall of Legends, again, we talked about it at the beginning of the program. Edward, up there in the eyes of a lot of people, but there's one name I'd want to posit here that I've been seeing some people comment about as well. The sleeper pick for a lot of people. When Coach Panda was picked to be part of the Hall of Legends, well-deserved so, a lot of people were thinking, when is Coach Ducky going to get his nomination? And with the nominations coming up this season, a lot of people are talking more and more also about Coach Ducky. Now, still the coach of BREN Esports and showing his world class in terms of drafting, his legacy still alive.
Yeah, actually, in terms of the Hall of Legends nominations, again, we really have to consider how they affected the community positively, and at the same time, the achievements individually, and how they are really a part of the MPL community. So, Coach Ducky, Edward, or anyone that you think is deserving to be part of the Hall of Legends, you could nominate. So that we can see your support to your favorite players, favorite coaches, anyone who is part of the community, of course.
There's a lot of gold medals there, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of gold medals.
Yeah, and all the names that we mentioned, gold medals, excellence.
Panda, gold medalist. Ducky, coach, gold medalist. I mean,
World
Edward
champion.
does have a medal from winning M3.
Yeah.
So a lot of W's.
Yeah, like I see people in the community also suggesting, and even I suggested it myself, like maybe in the grand finals, or maybe the grand finals leading into M5, or maybe even during M5 here in the Philippines, We just get like a showcase of all the awards of the
Yeah.
Philippines.
Put everything in a box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not in a box, but like on the stage.
I mean a
or like
truck.
all around. Yeah.
Because there's so many achievements
So-
you've
Yeah,
had for
all
the
the
past 3 years.
trophies.
My question in mind is there going to be a lot enough space?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your
I'm
main
not
concern.
bragging, of course.
Is there a venue big enough in the
I
Philippines?
feel like if you
all the
build
trophies.
if you build a cabinet just reserved for MPL or Philippine trophies,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be enough.
Not gonna be
It's not gonna be enough.
And even with just when you think about these two franchises alone, again, I brought that up in the intro. They bring the hype, the history, the influence, and the prestige. Arguably, two of the top teams to bring that because of the history that they've shown here in MPL
Yeah.
Philippines and BREN and Blacklist. But now, let's refocus into game number 2. As Blacklist have their backs against the wall because the Bees are looking to
Yeah.
end this right here, right now, and secure the top seed for the regular season.
You know what? It just feels like BREN Esports came into this game with a full understanding of how Blacklist has been drafting for the past 4 games, because the pattern was almost obvious for to Coach Ducky and to Coach BREN. When they picked up the Eve, it sounded like they were trying to bait out still the Estes pick from Blacklist, because their past few games when Estes was available and roamers were being contested, Estes was always in first place. So I feel like it was Blacklist put in a trap against BREN Esports, and they just didn't have enough room for for any answers. So game number 2 should be an adjusted draft for Blacklist International, and I feel like this is where teams have started finding out the weakness of Blacklist, because they don't they don't stray away from tradition. Like
Yeah.
Blacklist International during during a series, they don't adjust their draft at all. Like they stick with the fundamental drafting. We rarely see them like
Really
cause
change it,
chaos
yeah.
and change it up. The dynamics, it's there. Yes, it's gonna help you inside the game. But if you lose a draft because of it, it's gonna matter a lot.
And which makes the victory of BREN Esports in game number 1 all the more impressive. For the longest time, we've talked about Blacklist and said that you can outdraft and predict Blacklist International, but can you play better than Blacklist International? Game number 1, BREN said, hell yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And so that makes their game 1 victory all the more impressive. And game 2, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the adjustments. With Eve gone, which was a problem we talked about, they don't want to give the R-Lot to Edward. They're eyeing a different first stage. They take away the joy, and at the same time, Fanny not available.
this.
We usually see the joy and not being banned on the blue side because you actually prioritize that as the
Exactly.
first pick. So since Midnight is smiling beside us,
Yeah.
there's something for BREN Esports.
My brain's like computing like 15 different draft variations right now. But here's the problem for both sides. Kaja, Valentina, Faramis, Fredrin, and and what's this? Farsa is open.
Yeah.
Those are key picks for both sides. Now, if you think about it, BREN Esports, they're opening up the draft. Even if they lose 2 power picks to Blacklist International, they still get 2 power picks of their own on first phase. So it's gonna give them 3 hero advantage over Blacklist International, because those 5 heroes that I've mentioned, it's gonna be consumed on first phase. So BREN Esports, you have the choice here. You can go with Valentina, you can go Kaja, and you can go 1-1.
99%. High win rate actually for the 1-1.
Oh
And
my goodness.
since Midnight has mentioned a lot of heroes here during in this draft, you also have to take note that BREN Esports is the home of Hellkurt Place. Since Blacklist International focused on the assassin hero, so what if there's another surprise? It's not a surprise anymore. We've mentioned the Hellkurt, but maybe a Hellkurt play again for BREN.
And that makes sense because BREN Esports love drafting the Hellkurt if they're up against either the Eve or the Farsa. If Blacklist International show that as one of their first 2 picks here, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an easy Hellkurt pickup for BREN.
Yeah, I think you have to go Farsa Brody here. Okay, they still go for Estes. Fredrin. Again, they don't stay away. They don't
stray from
tradition. I don't understand the Lancelot ban. You did just open up 1-1 and you did not get Brody. Brody and Claude should be priority on 3rd pick for Blacklist International, but still, it does put BREN Esports into a place where they can get Valentina, Kaja, Grok. Those heroes are still open for BREN Esports, and they're not pressured to pick their own jungler right now. You can also argue that picking up an XP lane or XP hero for BREN Esports is sound at the moment for them, because I feel like Yuzong, Thams, Benedetta, those three heroes are really good against both the Fredrin and Estes.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't really consider Yuzong because we've seen him fail against Estes. But Paramis is going to be put on you. And that will be a sort of a counter against the Ube strategy of what Estes provides. And I like Sterizla. It's a hero that matches up well with the Ube strategy because they will naturally just group up. And you are susceptible to the penalty zone.
And also at the same time, I don't know, conspiracy theory cap on for Renmar here. I feel like BREN Esports were thinking, hey, what if Blacklist do what we did and actually are going to put that Fredrin in the XP lane? So historically, which team loves to pick up a Terizla up against a Fredrin and does well with it? Onyx.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's put the Terizla in the XP lane. So maybe that's why BREN Esports picked it up here.
Okay, Blacklist, marksman pick right now. Main concern is the Hayabusa opener of BREN Esports. Hayabusa potential pick on second phase. So I feel like you still play Brody here. Okay, they're hovering at the Lapu Lapu. Oh, they go for the carry. Interesting.
Okay, here is the thing. Have we seen Edward play Fredrin before on the XP lane?
We did.
Once.
We once did. So that may be the adjustment here for...
Oh, sorry. No. Only Wise played Fredrin for Blacklist.
So what if the adjustment for Blacklist International is we see Edward play the Fredrin and pick a different hero for Wise? Could be an option.
Yeah, could
if
be.
they really wanted to have that head-to-head with this Terizla, maybe go for another sustain aside from the Fredrin, which is on the explain. But we'll see that later on if there are changes for Blacklist International.
Yeah. I would call this carry pick tunnel vision pick. Because it's mainly just to sort of deal with the Terizla. It does not win the lane against 1-1 as well because it is a skill-based matchup. Like, a lot of micro mechanics will be put into play, but Super Marco will not have that because this 1-1 is not pressured to just go off. He's not put in a place where he needs to pop off because he knows that KalTZ will be the main hero on the early parts of the game, especially with how the draft is shaping up to be, because he will be able to get a powerful pick on the jungler role because he is sort of protected because he already sees Estes, Fredrin, and carry. Like, a lot of the junglers are available for KalTZ. Even, again, as I mentioned, the Hayabusa is open. A lot of the assassins are also open. Even the Ling I would consider in this game. Even Akai.
Yeah, if you just want to match up the Fredrin versus Akai scenario, if you want a little bit more kill power, you can also go for this. And still respecting the assassin pickup. So, Blacklist International know that. They don't want to go up against KalTZ on the assassin hero. Ling is still open though. The biggest question is, can this draft go in such a way that BREN Esports might actually end up picking the Ling? That is a possibility. You can tell what else you see here.
Actually, for Blacklist International, since this is a type of lineup we're in, we already know the roles of these heroes. They just need that hero that is really for the burst. If they're up against Faramis, could be a Kadita, but I doubt that it's an option for them. Maybe Savior, if they want it to go for the late
Alice.
game. Lilia could be an option.
Oh, yeah,
I like
definitely.
that. I like
Lilia
that,
is a good one since they're up against Faramis.
Yeah, I think somebody already ran it against Faramis and Terizla.
Yeah, that's a good option for them.
I think that sounds like something TNC would do.
Would do, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
Escalera.
TNC, maybe, Escalera, yeah.
Huh, Blacklist, what do you pick here?
Maybe they go Eve.
They go Yuzong.
Oh wait, no, it's banned, right? Yeah.
Okay,
So Blacklist International is really focusing on this Lapu Lapu. Remember, game number 1, it was a priority pick, so they have something with this Lapu Lapu, and the only change that we will see still sustain. They have that marksman on the DPS. So for BREN Esports, they might want to go on the route of the sustain as well, since all of the assassin heroes had been banned for this game.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Hanzo is open. Hanzo, I've tried pushing this towards a lot of people. Hanzo against Estes is something.
Hey,
How about Paquito?
Paquito even, yeah, with a burst. Is Mincetar Roam viable?
Well, in PH, no.
Yeah, it's tough.
In PH, no.
We only get to see it in the XP, but we see very blacklisted picks. Did BREN go? Yeah, it's a Kaja for Ogwin, of course.
It's Kaja Roam for sure.
Kaja Roam for sure. And then a Baksha. A Baksha for KalTZ. Never thought I'd see the day.
It's a sponge. It's a sponge pick for BREN Esports. Not because they're yellow, but it's a hero that can deal with the carry because he does naturally build up towards that Blade Armor, and he does have a lot of sustain, especially with the Tortoise Poisons. Forgot how to mention that.
Tortoise.
Tortoise Poisons. Poisons.
One of the most difficult ultimates to pronounce
Yeah.
in MLBB.
I'll say ultimate of Baksha later
Okay,
on.
you either
Play
go
by play.
you either go Kadita or Lilia here. Yeah.
Yeah, they really
Unless
need that
they
burst.
play Vexana.
Ooh, Vexana. I won't be surprised if Blacklist will pull that off, but so it's gonna be Savior.
Savior,
We did pause it. I think our main candidates were either the Lilia or the Savior.
Yeah.
But
So-
because of the pool of Yue, 3 heroes only,
So
Savior
far.
is a warranted pick for Blacklist International. It is a good tool though to snipe out the 1-1 before the Cult Altar pops off. But the main problem is the Cult Altar itself. Like, yes, you can kind of counter how the Cult Altar works, but against Few, of course you would expect that he would wait out for the passive first from Savior to pop out before he uses that Cult Altar.
And seeing the play of BREN Esports earlier, having those flickers to actually set up, it's a nice call. Or it would be nice to see Few on that Paramis to use the flicker, Shadow Stampede, Surprise Play, and then that ultimate from Terizla. Penalty zone.
Yeah. Okay. We talked about it here. The possibility that Chantel brought up is terrifying when you think about it. Terizla looks so scary right now. Even the shadows are just covering him. Well, in that scene earlier. BREN Esports drafted a lineup that is meant or has the possibility to end the game within 12 to 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's one of those lineups, and it could be one of those games if Blacklist get caught out again.
Well, the main difference that I'm seeing here is that Kyle TZ is, again, the sponge of BREN Esports. I mentioned earlier that Super Marco is not required to pop off. I think that changes now. He is, however, required to at least dominate his lane, to just have this amazing tempo with the Baksha when they roam around the map minute 3, minute 4. And Blacklist International, they have to fend themselves off because there is enough damage on the side of BREN. And mind you, these damages are scaling, especially coming out from the Promise, the 1-1, and even the Baksha.
Yeah, and actually for Blacklist International, knowing that this is a type of lineup, that is forced. We've mentioned that earlier, the Flicker Shadow Stampede, the survival play, and first blood will go to BREN Esports. Another kill possible for Blacklist, but no, there's no counter for them. We see one's already low on life. Level 4, make it 2 casualties for BREN Esports at the early part of our game.
The Shadow Stampedes from Few coming in big, and this is not the start you want to have if you're Blacklist International. The possibility of 12 to 15 minutes victory for BREN is looking more and more real.
Yeah, I want to mention that this carry 1-1 lane is skill-based, but Super Marco has been dominating out since level 1. I've kept my eye on that lane, and Super Marco was always positioned aggressively against the carry. And Blacklist, again, you don't have enough firepower in the early game to deal with the with the aggression that BREN has. This is the strength of this lineup, especially when they picked up the Baksha. Even though they don't have that sort of damage coming out from the assassins, Baksha is still a a decent damage dealer and an insane frontliner, because when he reaches level 4. I don't think there's anybody on the game that can deal with Baksha level 4, especially with the ultimate up.
Yeah,
Speaking of Baksha, Kaltizi is already there to try and secure this turtle objective, and in an instant, Blacklist International isn't able to contest that one.
Yeah, man. What? Ogwen.
That was a bit deep, but we could see the aggression of BREN Esports at that moment. And it's as if they are aware that Blacklist International's lineup is really for the late game.
We were mentioning last game that BREN was just really confident with their commitments. And this is just really an example of why BREN was able to win game 1.
Si Idol pala to, and that's the headline for Few. Has now reached 2,000 plus assists.
So in English, you're the idol.
Yeah.
You're the idol. But yeah, out of the lane, My Venus is now low on life. Cannot sustain that. And Kyle TZ and BREN Esports will secure the 4th kill for this game.
BREN is just continuing on their momentum from game number 3 minutes in. Super Marco, expected timers already have
bottom
the
lane though.
corrosion.
Bottom lane.
Down now.
Here goes the Crosswell Tang, and Super Marco will secure that kill and a lead for BREN Esports.
Mind you, they picked up this carry against the 1-1, knowing that this matchup is not going to be in favor on both sides. But Super Marco was like, hell nah, I'm going to win this lane.
But on the middle lane, there is going to be a play. Nope, for BREN Esports, it's just really doing an aggressive play, positioning on those places that Blacklist is going to go. And look at that. In an instant, we can see Supermark on the bottom lane, securing those plates against Owl. And Owl is secluded on the second tier turret of their map. Look at that.
Yeah, that is bad news for any team where you have the marksman as such an integral component of it in this carry. Stuck behind a second turret, just waiting, looking if he can actually even get farm. The bottom tower of Blacklist International is gonna fall, and that is a snowballed 1-1 in the hands of Super Marco.
Yeah, and you know what's unfortunate? Blacklist International cannot deal with this because guess what? Where the turtle spawn, bottom lane. So expect that more heroes will just continuously come towards this area, and I will not be able to participate in this fight because he is a carry, he needs more damage. And Ogwen again with the commitment of the Divine Judgment. Didn't even wait out for the turtle to go low.
Yeah, just when we thought that there's going to be a safe play for Blacklist International.
Nice!
The contribution, but again, BREN Esports will go in for that play. Super Marco kills Edward, making a double kill. We've said that this is a snowballed 1-1. Definitely it is, as TZ will secure that killing spree.
Blacklist gets the turtle, but now they'll be forced to turtle as BREN Esports snowballed to hell. 9-0 counter-punish kills, even though they lost a major objective.
Look at the gold disparity, 2,300. And Carry is forced to buy boots just to, move around the map. And Super Marco has already the corrosion sight and DHS. Nobody on the side of Blacklist is tanky anymore. The only remaining ingredient that they need is the heal reduction coming out from either the Halberd, the Runs, or even the Dominance Ice, which is now completed in Ogwen.
Actually, for Blacklist International, they still have to wait maybe around 5 minutes for their lineup to have damage actually against the players of BREN Esports.
Yeah.
Even the Dawning Light could be used for
the
vision. But they see Edward, they see Agent Zero, but they will just go for the turret secure in the top lane.
By the way, Ogwen did not commit Flicker at all. So he was like, nah, that's Agent Zero. I'm not going to commit on that.
Here comes the Flicker, but here comes Ogwen as well. Killing spree for BREN as Kyle TZ
he stole
will secure that buff against Weiss. We can see the Bracer Strat being used by Weiss, but the rest of BREN Esports is already on the middle lane. They want to go for those objectives. They want to go for that sustain. Nice zone for Flop. Tizzy has the Divine Judgment, is being gone again by Ogwen on this game. What a play.
I just want to point out the micro decision there. Ogwen got the Divine Judgment, but he thought that maybe Flap can actually get my target in the penalty zone. It didn't work.
Yeah.
But you saw him.
It was cute.
He didn't pull. Yeah. He didn't pull and move. He was just like, okay, is it gonna? Oh wait, no. Okay, sure. I'll just pull him back.
It was like Ogwen seeing an opportunity to catch anybody on the side of Blacklist, but when he jumped in, he was like, oh, this is such a good penalty zone. Yeah. And he did not expect Flap to jump at all. And when he saw the penalty zone, he was like, okay, did it latch? No. Okay, I'm just gonna go back.
I'm just gonna pull him back. This is just again a testament to what BREN Esports has done all throughout this season.
Oh, this is not even strategy. This is just sheer chemistry.
Yep.
With BREN Esports.
In Filipino, this is just BREN lang malakas.
Yeah, and pure dominance indeed for this game. Now, Blacklist International mentioned that they could, we could see their damage and even sustain 5-minute game time. But for BREN Esports, with the positioning that they're dealing against Blacklist International, it might be difficult for them. Even a clearing of Minion Wave, having the Saber to be unstacked, maybe on the latter part of the game. But look at that, all the objectives.
Well, level 8, so level 8 against level 10. So what can you do?
Struggling right now. Still is Blacklist. Still no kills. BREN from positions 1 to 5. I have to say, everyone's playing to near perfection.
Yeah, 8.7k gold lead on the side of BREN Esports. And your concern right now, it's not even, if you have to list out the problems of Blacklist International, damage is not even #1 from Owl. It's also the sustain, both from Wise and Oh My Venus. Even if you have the heal, there is just enough sheer damage output from the side of BREN. Look at this.
Here comes the Divine Judgment, unstoppable for Super Marco. What a nice shadow stampede as the rest of BREN Esports moves on to the players of Blacklist International. Here comes the retaliation, but no, there comes the Cult Altar just in time to save the players and to resist that initiation against Blacklist International.
Okay, Flap was like, no, I don't have penalty zone, bro. I don't have penalty zone at that moment, but it was an awesome play come out from the captain, or the El Capitan of BREN Esports. He's trying to go for it again, but the range isn't there, and they have to back off. Lord is up for the taking here for BREN Esports. I don't think Blacklist has the capability of contesting this.
Few. It's still too early to call who'll be the MVP of the game, but I'm already thinking it's going to be Few. Three of the biggest plays to determine the outcome of this game have been by that man. That early game back-to-back pulls to get those kills in the mid, and then that big one there to make sure that BREN wouldn't fall and even give BREN a chance to get a big win, although they couldn't find it. El Capitan still definitely has it. Undeniable.
Only a few could really dictate. Only a few.
Only a few.
Only
I like
a
it.
few.
I like
his
it.
play.
That is poetry in
Yeah.
motion, Chantel.
And you know what? Only a few teams have have managed to deal such a blow against Blacklist International, and BREN might be the first team to go deathless against this team.
Oh yeah, actually, we could see a clean kill from BREN Esports as the Lord will march in on the bottom lane. We can see the immortality already for Y. Super Marco will secure the turret push.
Oh,
there goes the
boy.
judgment. Edward is down. Agents here is down. Monster kill already for Super Marco because it was down to players of Blacklist International. This is it as BREN Esports will go for the tower lock and they will secure the first seed for playoffs.
Classic BREN.
They ran out of minions though.
Classic BREN.
Not just yet. And there we go. Closer and closer to fulfilling an old promise. To say that BREN lang malakas is undeniable, they've set it up. The seeds have been planted for the next championship garden. They are the undeniable top seed in MPL Philippines Season 11.
BREN Esports has been playing on a different level, definitely, after this performance against the Blacklist International. I mean, clean kills, rotation, the draft, it's everything for BREN Esports.
It's everything and
BREN.
BREN.
I got that.
Thank you.
Chef's kiss.
Beautiful.
I would say for the entirety of my career as an analyst, I don't believe in perfect game, but that would look like a perfect game for BREN Esports. I don't believe in perfect games, but the way they played and handled Blacklist International, that was just a master class from BREN Esports.
The timing, everything. Again, for BREN Esports, it's as if they really reviewed how Blacklist International played with those tricks, of course. Those win streak. This is the type of formation that they will do to give space for Owl. This is the rotation that we'll do to negate that play from Blacklist International. BREN Esports, we've talked about the heroes that they bring in for the draft, and a lot of variation for the team, and I'm really looking forward for that playoffs game. Although they still have a game for this week 8.
Yeah, oh man, I think it also is a testament as to why everyone in the talent pool thought that this is going to be, like, the predictions came up earlier, we didn't get to point it out, but everyone said that this was going to be a BREN win, because you just get those feelings about a team. Alongside feelings, of course, with a desk here that's just full of analysts, backed up by the stats, the history, the knowledge of these two teams, there was something in the air that whispered, hey, I think it's going to be a BREN win. And I didn't expect it, though, to be this dominant.
Hell no. Nobody would expect.
Nobody expected BREN to come in this and just say, we're going to win this like this. You can predict that they will win it, but not like that. One of the most impressive performances as a team this season.
Yep. Actually, for Blacklist International, when we say that they have the S on their draft, it means that this is a different kind of beast for Blacklist International.
Twice!
But we haven't seen that
Twice!
on those two games. We haven't seen the walking ambulance for OMV. So it's surprising for BREN Esports, and it is really indeed a statement.
Yeah. And again, I believe this is the first team to go deathless against the Ubris strategy. So it is sort of an achievement of its own. But this is a classic BREN, and I love the recalls on the last moments of the game. It was classic BREN, you know, when they win games, they recall in front of the base.
Yeah.
Although they did lose some minions there, but they are the victors at the end because Blacklist had nothing against the BREN lineup.
If you all recall or were here with us in MPL Philippines in Season 6, there was a certain magic in the air about BREN then. Of course, we know after that Season 6 victory, they'd go on to become the M2 World Champions. The roster that had a rookie flap, that had Carl TZ finally solidifying himself as one of the guys in the league. Rebo as the first GOAT of our league. Lusty being crazy in his gameplay. I miss Lusty, man. Like, how did he play that role? And of course, Few. And the growth, the journey that this team has had to go on, now solidifying themselves as the undisputed top seed in the league this season. It's been an up and a very up, and then a very down, and then a plateau, and then an up again journey for them.
3 seasons, mind you.
3 seasons. They are the embodiment of trust the process.
Yeah, they've earned this.
They earned this.
They worked hard for this, actually. We saw the rebuilding. We saw a different type of player. They let go of some of the players that has a lot of potential. And this is the perfect formula for BREN Esports. As to why the community is really happy. Those fans that saw their failures or the not so good moments of them. But we could see that BREN Esports is a strong team this season, even the off-season prior MPL season 11.
And this isn't, I'm glad that you mentioned that. It isn't just this season. Before the season started, a lot of us were already talking about BREN and saying, watch out for BREN.
It was a crazy journey for the Hive, but they are here. They are the current top seed of the league, and there's more of this to come in the following weeks.
Yeah, still have 2 more days of action in Week 8. That was only the first series of the day. We still have one coming up later on, but I am excited to hear about what BREN thought about that series, and we're going to hear that now. Let's go on over the stage with the lovely Mara Aquino alongside the victors and the top seed of MPL Philippines regular season 11. It's BREN Esports.
Congratulations, Hive! You're BREN Esports with a sweep! Congratulations! Sobrang bilis niyong tinapos yung laban. First game, it's about 12 minutes. Second game, hindi pa umabot ng 11. It's about 10 minutes, 21 seconds. How did you guys do that? Kasi yung Blacklist, they're getting better and better, pero parang andali lang para sa inyo itong series na to. How?
Ano po, siguro dahil pinaghandaan po talaga namin sila sa training namin. Parang, sobrang commit yung pagte-training namin. Tas, nadala lang siguro namin yung momentum namin nung game 1. Kaya nung game 2, parang on point lahat ng mga pinagagawa namin. Pero at the same time, parang nag-overthink pa rin kami.
Nag-overthink?
Kasi yung Blacklist po, malakas po sila eh.
Speaking of, eto gusto kong tanungin si Cal TZ. Speaking about overthinking, I'm gonna reveal something. Every time that fini-face nyo ang Blacklist International, parang kang no-overwhelm after in between the games, something happens to you backstage. Can you share with us?
Every time po na kalaban po namin yung Blacklist, parang parang hinihika po kasi ako. Parang pagkalaban po sila yung Blacklist, parang kinakabahan po kasi ako. Kaya parang ganun nga po, after po ng game, parang hirap po ako huminga.
Pero what is it about Blacklist? Kasi nag-start to last season pa, hindi to nangyayari ata with other teams. Pero bakit Blacklist? What is it about them na kinakabahan ka, no-overwhelm ka? Why?
Maybe siguro po sa crowd.
Sa crowd. And good job kasi regardless what happens, people don't know what goes through the minds of the players. Minsan talaga may anxiety, but ang galing mo pa din and you're able to overcome that, especially kapag may pressure sa crowd. So good job on that. Now, congratulations sa BREN dahil secured na ang top seed. Yes! Pwede ko bang tanungin, Coach Ducky? Usually our Coach BREN, ano yung mga incentives ngayon na secure yung top seed? What's happening? Tsaka gusto ko malaman anong lulutuin ni Coach Ducky mamaya.
Magluluto ako ng beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington. Coach BREN, so now, top seed, what's gonna happen? Ano bang may pinramis ka ba sa team na kapag na-secure to, eto yung mangyayari?
Wala, mag-outing kasi kami.
Uy, mag-outing. Kailan yon? Gano'ng katagal saan?
Sa Laguna lang. 2 days sa Sunday. Yun lang
Nice.
yung reward nila sa mga pinapanalo namin.
And for sure, they're looking forward to that. Once again, top seed, BREN Esports. Thank you so much. You may now take your bow. Go ahead. Take your walk of victory. Top seed na ang BREN. Congratulations! And for sure, ang ating mga manlalaro looking forward to that incentive. Pupunta sila sa Laguna to celebrate their great performance this season at naging fruitful nga. Dahil now, they're in the upper bracket. Balikan na natin ang ating casters para sa analysis. Pasok!
There you have it. Top seed, undeniable, thrashing the defending MPL Philippines champions. And again, it was a journey to get to this point. They trusted the process, and here they are, a step closer to fulfilling the age-old promise, but the job isn't done. And this broadcast isn't finished yet because we're going to have to talk about what happened in that game number 2, because that was, again, just insane.
Yeah, actually, we were discussing during the interview that we are all surprised with the outcome of game number 2. And this is, again, a game wherein BREN Esports is just really prepared with the heroes that Blacklist International is going to pick for that game. Now, Blacklist International, it's something, an eye-opener for them that they could change some of their strategy to be able to compete better on other games that they still have this week 8.
Yeah, because we saw the strategy that they've been known for on a very good day when a team isn't ready, Blacklist will dominate. But against a team that is ready and expecting what to do and what Blacklist will do, like BREN did here, they will dominate. And let's see what will happen here for Blacklist International moving forward, as they are still potentially playoffs bound. The possibility is still there, and even upper bracket potentially still there. We'll see. But again, we do have to talk about the geniusness of that game number 2. It wasn't just in game. Behind the scenes, we were talking about it in the draft. Great drafting from one team, a bit of a struggle for the other, and a great performance by one, a struggle for another. Midnight, can you expound even more?
Well, the level of geniusness on the side of BREN Esports definitely came into play here in game number 2, as they were able to overcome the Ube strategy of Blacklist International. And again, it's still the same key point that we've discussed on game number 1, their willingness to commit on the targets they have, and also add to the fact that every single member on the side of BREN Esports had the right target, especially with Ogwen, with the Divine Judgment. We saw that earlier on with the failed flicker play onto Oh My Venus. Getting the Estes skill is really, really crucial for BREN Esports. And later on during the highlights, we might be able to see the Divine Judgment play that he did on Edward, because Edward was trying to defend the base of Blacklist International up against the Lord, and Ogwen was like, okay, you're the only guy in the front line, and there was no problem for BREN Esports to fight against the remaining 4 heroes. So he flickered in and went for the Divine Judgment onto the Lapu-Lapu. And these target selections are really, really important for BREN Esports because they have so many backups. There is that Cult Altar that we mentioned on the Faramis, and also the possibility of the Flicker penalty zone play coming up from Flapteasy. So again, the commitment of BREN Esports to fight against Blacklist International, it's sort of an idea wherein you just have to do it because you just have so many support system and support mechanisms with your composition, and that is why they were able to play super aggressive against Blacklist International. You're seeing a lot of zeros on the side of Blacklist because they were not able to fight at all against BREN Esports, because number 1, they don't have the damage early game, especially against the 2 lives that BREN Esports have, and the insane front line of BREN Esports, which was supplied by both Flapteasy and Kyle Teasy on the Baksha and Terizla respectively. And look at the gold amassed on the side of BREN Esports, especially on Super Marco. 1,090 GPM, even breaking the record of Kyle Teasy with 1,072 GPM. Currently holds the highest GPM record of MPL-PH Season 11. A 1-1 performance of this regular season that is memorable for sure up until the next few weeks, because he did just shut down Owl on that gold lane, and the carry was not able to play his game for Blacklist International. And it is a skill-based matchup. But Super Marco knows the limits of the hero, even using the Inspire to just make sure that he can move around the carry and ensure that the stacks will be there. Usually we see Inspires popped off when the crossbow of thanks has been committed, but Super Marco used it to reposition himself, especially with no purifies on the side of the carry. He cannot remove those stacks, and the carry was not able to compete against the 1-1 after the first initial kill. And BREN Esports positioned themselves towards that area of the map because they know that this was the main condition, the win condition, I would say, for Blacklist International. And the Savior pick did make sense. However, it did not pull off in this game because it is kind of in the same position of the carry when he pops off later off in the game. And BREN Esports knew that. They capitalized on it, actually. They completely have control. They completely negated the presence of the heroes of Blacklist International just by pressuring them earlier on, because BREN Esports, they are the stronger team in the early game, so they just capitalized on that fact. They put everything onto the one basket and made sure that the early game was theirs for the taking. And it netted them this huge lead that they've gotten on the early game, and they transitioned towards the mid game without having any contenders on the side of Blacklist, because the carry again was shut down, and there was no other way for Blacklist to recover other than farming the map. But BREN Esports was having none of that, and they were willing to commit bodies over Blacklist International just to make sure that they are pushing the objectives, and they didn't even have to pay the price because nobody died on the side of BREN Esports with the support coming out from the Cult Altar of Hugh. It was kind of a masterclass stomp from BREN Esports. It felt like Barat stomping over Blacklist International this game number 2.
So Bren was the dinosaur, which makes sense. They're also
Bren
yellow.
was the dinosaur.
Yeah. With the Barats.
Yeah.
A bit slow on that part. I imagine first what Barats really look
Yeah.
like. You lost me at the Barats. Okay.
It's all right. We'll have it now, but we just have to mention. Again, it is very important for all the viewers out there, especially if you're in the English stream and you're based here in the Philippines, to please register your sim. It's a very quick and easy process. April 26th is the last day you can do that. Sim register so that your sim won't be dead. It sounds dire as all heck, but honestly, it's true. If you don't register in time, you're gonna lose your number. And I know here in the Philippines, a lot of us have our numbers linked to important aspects of our lives, finance, ML, whatever you have in your personal life, everything in the sim. So please don't forget to register. I did not expect that. And again, we talked about how no one expected that. We talked about how this could end in 12 to 15 minutes. It ended in around 10. That was an absolutely fast one. As we head on over to our next series of the day, though, it's Omega versus Echo. Real quick, I asked Chantel this, what she'd be excited about. So what about you, Midnight? What are you excited about?
I'm expecting a lot of chaos. Like, it's Echo, the House of Highlights, and Omega, being one of the most chaotic teams to ever exist in the Land of Dawn. It is going to become an intense match between the ex-Kings of Sea and the current world champions.
Well, to be fair, you've asked me earlier my expectations, but with the outcome of our first series, I don't expect anything at all. I'm not expecting anything. I want to be surprised.
Yeah, sometimes it's just better to go that way. By the way, there in this week's data dive, let's take a look at the regular season MVPs and their respective KDAs. Ooh. That graphic is actually posted on the official MPL Philippines Facebook page. You can find data dive and other league content on the official MPL Philippines Facebook page. You know what? I love this data dive series. It's something I did often a lot in my own page, and there are people asking me why I stopped doing that. It's because data dive is amazing. The stats, I made mistakes a lot when I would post it, but then in MPL, they can't get it wrong. And be like BREN, they've secured their ticket to the playoffs. Now you can secure yours as well. Watch MPL-PH Season 11 playoffs live at SMX Manila. We're going back home. Third time around this May 4 to 7. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. We're going back to SMX.
That was smooth, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Be like BREN. That was hella smooth.
Be like BREN. Punch your ticket. And now let's see what will happen. As Chantel said, are we going to expect something? Should we not expect? That was surprising. What do? It's Omega. Barangay Omega versus Barangay Omega versus Smart Omega. Barangay Omega versus the defending world champions, Echo. That is going to be a screamer of a match. Midnight, you mentioned chaos. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get chaos.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect it all. You know,
Yeah.
it is a match that is surely watchable and entertaining because a lot of crazy things will happen on that series.
And again, we will see Kelra versus Bernie Cutie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm mind blown.
Let's see. All right, so we're going to relax a bit. You can do that too, but don't forget to come back for Omega versus Echo coming up next. Again, this is MPL Philippines Season 11 English stream, Week 8, Day 1.
The 11th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board.
Did you know that you can switch networks but still keep your number? Now you can go with the Philippines' fastest and best mobile network. All it takes are 3 easy steps. First, secure your unique subscriber code from your current provider. Visit our website or any smart store near you. Lastly, activate your smart MNP SIM and
The 11th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board.
Welcome back mga ka-ML! You're still watching MPL Philippines Season 11. From here on out, every time Ryzen and Barangay steps in the Land of Dawn, it'll be a battle of their lives. Pero hindi naman to bago para sa kanila, kaya nga isa sa kanilang mga nickname ay Lower Bracket Kings. Now, against the reigning world champs na napakitaan na ni Ryzen ng kamandag ng tank slot, can they salvage their playoffs chances and concoct a stronger and more potent lason? Yan ang ating aalamin, ladies and gentlemen. This is Smart Omega versus Echo. Casters, pasok!
As the drums of war of Echo thunder louder and louder closer to the barangay, can the poison be potent enough to secure points for that playoff slot? Or will Echo prove that if you can't beat the man, then maybe you don't deserve to make it to the playoffs? That is what is at stake here for Echo versus Omega. Omega wants to make it to the playoffs. Echo wants to secure upper bracket. Welcome back to the English stream. My name is Reptar, still joined here by Midnight and Donya Chantel. Welcome all. We talked about it a little bit earlier of what to expect. Let's reiterate. Chaos? Yes?
Yeah, it's a very chaotic game because it is Echo playing, you know, the House of Highlights, the Echo Express that we're used to seeing. But there's that semblance of fundamental gameplay already from Echo system. But for the side of Omega, it is still that poison or the venom in the gameplay, and of course the Omega timers.
Well, actually, for Omega, we saw their moments of brilliance around week 6, if I'm not mistaken, and it is a type of Omega that we've been seeing a lot as to why they are loved by many of our community. And I kind of feel like for Echo, they have to be prepared for those late games and knowing that they are really towards that early game as the Echo Express.
Yeah, again, going into this matchup, unlike the first one, here it's clear who the underdog is, even more so, and that is Omega. A lot of people are going to go into this and think, oh, this is going to be a quick one for Echo. But this is why we talked about the poison of Omega and why that has always been an undeniable spirit about them. There's just something about it. They enjoy the power of Smart, which you can do as well. When you switch to Smart without changing your number via mobile number portability or MNP, visit smrt.ph/switch to Smart to know more. The poison, the power of Smart for Barangay Omega. At this point, though, we've seen it sometimes, but it's been quite shaky. Just when we thought the poison was there, suddenly they face a big defeat.
But that's the beauty, you know. Omega, they're always in this position. Every season, every MPL, they're always in a position wherein they can almost be eliminated. But they managed to, you know, just get a hold of what's really important, which are the points. And Omega always secures their slot in the playoffs. And most of these seasons, they even finish at the podium.
Yeah, actually, for Smart Omega, they are the type of, they are the epitome of if things may be dark now, there will be light. You just have to keep holding on, and that is as to why again, we've mentioned that they are the last on team, and we're not really sure of the things that they will show onto this game. And I'm pretty sure that they will bring in different types of heroes. This is Bakbet and ito Max we're talking about.
Yeah, man. The spirit of Omega is still there, and it's undeniable. We've seen it. Let's talk about Echo now this time around. Echo still, it's not the perfect season we would have expected from the team that became the world champions quite recently and had an amazing run in M4, but they are still up there and still close to securing that upper bracket or a second round bye right away.
Yeah. Honestly, I find it really weird that Echo started the regular season very, very strong. But it ended up like, I would say it's also shaky in the middle of the season, like week 5, week 6.
Yeah.
We've seen some holes come out from Echo, especially during the draft. And I feel like it is sort of the curse of being a champion, one of the strongest team to play in the league. A lot of teams are looking up to Echo, and they are a case for study.
Yeah.
For most of the participants here in MPL. And I feel like that's one of the major reasons why the downfall is kind of shaping up for this team. But again, this is still Echo that we're talking about. The caliber of these players are very, very top-notch. But it is up for Omega to just get that Venom out.
Speaking of top-notch caliber, by the way, the Hall of Legends nomination will close on April 16. So that is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken? Or is that Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, I'm forgetting my days right now. But make sure to support your favorite MPL pro players and personalities. Watch the induction ceremony this May 7 at the Season 11 Playoffs Grand Finals live with the official channels of MPL Philippines. We've already discussed Hall of Legends nominations and all that. So let's just keep talking about the match at hand right now because, again, high drama, high stakes still. For this matchup, for this day, Omega clawing for points to secure playoff slot. Echo want to solidify themselves as a second round team right away. That will give them the easiest path for them to maybe even win or make it to the grand finals of MPL Philippines Season 11. We've talked about their inconsistencies, but what are the best things that you've seen, Chantel, about Echo this season?
Well, actually for Echo, what I really like about the team is the versatility in terms of the heroes that Cartesi can use. It has been a trend that Tanks let you know, but he was able to adapt, given that he said that it was a boring type of a jungler, but we could see the changes in on how they really look at the things because they are aware that they need to change some of the things for them to be able to secure a win over the other teams.
A lot of questions for Echo and Omega, but the biggest one is for Omega. Are there any traces of Lason left in Smart Omega? The poison. Let's lay down some facts here. Since their failure to make it past the play-ins last season after that collapse against BREN Esports in the first round where they lost reverse. They were up 2-0, just needed one more game, but then BREN went 3 in a row. Smart Omega's capability to be poisonous has been in question. Their ongoing campaign didn't help with this case as their new roster's poison doesn't seem to be as potent as the one with Chaknu and Itomax. You've talked about it a little bit, Midnight. Have we seen enough to hold on to the idea that Smart Omega still has that poison? Or is it still too shaky to say so?
I think that's true, but you can also make the case wherein you can argue that Smart Omega played with kind of an experiment roster last season. Even though they didn't make it into the play-ins, it was a different Omega that time. Like, they started regular season at a very, very strong foothold, but it's not the typical storyline that we see from the Barangay. And I feel like this season is a different case because although they are quite shaky at the moment, the players are now sitting well with this current roster, and the composition works. You know, there are a few games wherein you have a lot of questions as to the individual plays that they make, but definitely you see the potential of this roster.
Now, on the other hand, Echo isn't exactly out of the woods yet. Their past outings were once plagued by eliminations in the play-ins in the previous seasons, and considering Blacklist's latest run, they could be overtaken if they show some signs of slowing down. So Echo cannot slow down. The Express cannot slow down. Chantal, thoughts about Echo going to this?
Well, actually for Echo, again, it is a type of team wherein we could see sometimes that they're not really stable on how they will play. There are moments wherein they play really good, but at the same time, it's as if it's not Echo that we are looking. So it's really more on the consistency for Echo that we should really expect for this game, because it has been their problem since the start of the season. The consistency, yes, they could be very fast on their plays, but the execution could be fast, but at the same time, it has to be on point.
Yeah, on point, consistency. Those are some of the biggest factors we're looking for from Echo. At one point, they were very consistent. As you put earlier midnight, that Echo did start off the season hot, but then after that Week 4 loss to RSG, after their last series with Omega even earlier this season, we started to see some holes in the Echo Express. But first off, let's go on over to Sona, our insider backstage.
Maraming salamat, casters, and you have emphasized enough kung gaano nga ba kaimportante ang magiging laban na ito para sa dalawang kupunan. This is the final series of the day. It's Echo versus Smart Omega. Ang lason laban sa mga Orca. This time, when we're talking about it, ay kailangan pa rin nating tignan ng mabuti kung ano ba ang kahalagahan ng standings for para sa ngayong araw na ito, and lalong-lalo na sa Serie S. So we're gonna be taking a look at this one right away, and this is how you want to emphasize on the matchups that we will be having. Medyo nabura lang ng konti, but Echo currently has 24 points. Currently seated at the second seed, and ito yung pinaka-best case scenario para sa kanila para makuha ang upper bracket. Either a 2-0 or a 2-1. It's that simple. Ganun lang magiging kadali ang pagkakataon at tsansa nila to not only get the upper bracket spot, but to already proceed sa ating susunod na stage ng ating playoffs. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing para sa Smart Omega, to be specific. If it's that simple for the side of Smart Omega, medyo simple rin naman para sa side, or if it's that simple for Echo, medyo simple rin naman para sa side ng Smart Omega. Currently seated at 15 points, nasa pang-limang seed sila sa standings. If they get a 2-0 para dito sa laban na to, then that means all they have to do is to win their next match against TNC via a 2-1. Pero kabaliktaran naman, at kung sakali na opposite yung mangyayari para sa dalawang kupunan, in case they get a 2-1, then that means kailangan nila ng 2-0 sweep sa susunod nilang laban. It is another reminder that both of these teams ay meron pang dalawang matches na natitira for the rest of the regular season. Kaya naman, kailangan nilang ipanalo ang parehas na games na ito, and this is gonna be the most important part for them to win this one. This is the case of getting an upper bracket spot versus getting the playoff spot. Smart Omega versus Echo. Casters, back to you.
Zona couldn't have said it any clearer. 2-0 and 2-1 for Echo means they secure the upper bracket. Omega, if they, whether 2-0 or 2-1, means they just need to either win the next one 2-1 or 2-0, vice versa. See, math, we can do it.
Quickly though.
Quickly though. Again, this is why this is another, again, drama-filled matchup. What it means for these two teams in terms of their playoff slotting, and why. I am right now feeling what both of you feel, where you said don't expect anything, but at the same time, I expect chaos. So that way, I think what we will just all expect is craziness.
Craziness, yeah.
I feel like the most team that is affected here in this match is definitely Omega, because you have such young players on their side, like Miko. It is gonna be his first time being put in this high pressure situation wherein he has to play his best to at least get into playoffs.
Yeah, actually, what's really important for these young players is the moral boost that they need as much as possible. They're up against a team, for Smart Omega specifically, they are up against a team that has a lot of experiences, but they could take Sanji and Sanford as an example with that moral boost, emotional stability at that.
Points, future, playoffs hopes, upper bracket, history can be determined by the next few matches. This one isn't any different. Just a bit, we're going to be welcoming our two teams, Omega and Echo, to the stage. The story has been set. Conditions talked about somewhat. I mean, we still haven't done the keys to victory. That'll come in a little bit later. But we gave you the overall story to expect of it all. So let's meet our characters. Welcome to the stage, the Barangay and the Orcas.
This team is no longer a stranger to the threat of elimination. But before the reigning world champions, can the entire barangay cheat death once more? Hailing from the barangay, it's Smart Omega! The Loud Orcas may have already secured their playoff slot, but there's no way they are stopping at that. Will they be the next to secure the upper bracket berth? Welcome the reigning champions of the world, ECHO! And their coaches, Coach Itumax and Coach Tic Tac. A battle for survival and safety. What's it gonna be?
And here are our cast of characters for Barangay Omega: Kelra, Ryzen, Luis, Stome, and Miko.
Poison is still alive. However, we are facing two new characters that are put in a different situation. Luis and Miko, two young players on the barangay. Even though Miko has played for Omega last season, this is his first time trying to contend for the playoff spot, but they are backed up with experience on the form of Ryzen and Kelra. Again, the gold standard, and usually what is a player that rises to the occasion on the jungle role. Very, very big performance here on the side of Barangay. It's just a matter of execution and protection on the XP lane, because it is going to come into factor here up against Echo, because Luis will be up against one of the best XP laners in the world in the form of Sanford. So it is crucial for Smart Omega to have this fundamental standing on the early stages of the game for Kella to be able to pop off in the mid game.
And their opponents, the Orcas, the reigning champions of the world: Benny Cutie, Carl TZ, Sanford, Sanji, and Yawi.
We've mentioned consistency earlier, but for Echo, this is the most consistent lineup for them. Having the leadership of course, Yawi and Sanji are actually the trifecta of Echo has been doing splendid for the team. Perfect execution is the term for them, actually, in terms of the Echo Express. Having that 59% kill participation for Sanford, it goes to show that he is a type of player wherein he's part of the team fights most of the time, but at the same time, he's a type of player that brings in vision for the team. And Carl TZ, again, we've mentioned the character development of this player, having to adjust on heroes that we haven't seen him use, and it's going to be exciting for this type of lineup.
So look at the team head-to-head, quite even. Some sides leans towards Echo, some a little bit towards Omega. But let's revisit their last matchup. When you think about it, it was a crazy one. It was an absolute belter of a series between the two. And again, hence why I'm not surprised if we'll get the same feeling again. We might see a Tank-Salot fight between these two teams in terms of contention. The Luis factor now, a much younger, much more aggressive XP laner going up against Sanford. So they've forgone the experience and wiles of Renjo to just raw young talent on Luis.
Yeah, actually, and knowing that Luis is part of the lineup now for Smart Omega, it is a big factor, specifically for the turtle control ratio that we saw earlier. It's 45% versus 60%. It goes to show that for Echo, they're really on the early game.
Yeah.
For Omega, since the ratio for the Lord fight participation is higher than the usual, it means that they are more on the late game. So this is something that Echo could capitalize coming into this game. And Smart Omega, they really have to force this game to be stretched as much as possible to give space to to Kelra, their goal laner.
I like how you pointed out the very big contrast in terms of gameplay, the early game and late game for both Echo and Omega respectively. Because Omega, they have Omega timers, at that 18-minute mark. Echo, they have the Echo Express backed up with Echo, with the Echo system. They are fundamentally able to convert those into actions for victory.
All right, so what do these teams need to do exactly? We've already laid down just a few, but now I'm pretty sure you know what's coming up next. The keys to victory brought to you by Infinix. I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams need to do specifically, because we've laid it down in a broad sense, what they need to do. Early game, late game, but now there's a Luis factor.
Yeah.
Is there something Miko needs to do specifically? So many questions, and here are the answers. Welcome to the Infinix Keys to Victory. I'm going to toss you on over to the analyst on the Filipino stream. He'll take care of you for now.
Let's look at the needed, yung mga kailangan gawin ng dalawang teams na to. Of course, this is the Keys to Victory brought to us by Infinix. Simula mo na dito sa Smart Omega. Beware of Echo's early game snowball. Alam natin na yung Echo Express, isa to dun sa dalawang nakikita nating trend mula sa Echo. Most particularly the Echo Express na talagang nakita natin na madaming beses na ginagawa. It's all about snowball. Meaning to say, dapat kung sakaling makakuha ng kills ang Echo, kailangan meron silang nade-trade. Meaning to say, wala silang binibigay na libre. Making it so that the early game is not gonna be one-sided. Kailangan may nakukuha pa rin sila. Kung hindi man nila kayang pigilan altogether yung early game ng Echo, at least meron sila nakukuha for themselves at umabot dun sa threshold or yung timing na malakas talaga Omega doon sa late game. Para naman dito sa Echo, punish OMG's faulty late game decision making. Interestingly, nakita tayo na may mga kakaibang decision making ang Omega in the late game. Alam natin na sobrang lupit ng mechanics nila in clutch moments, but when it comes to crucial decision making, minsan napapa-overthink, minsan masyadong creative at napapasama pa nga dito yung Omega. And this is one thing na pwedeng exploit ng Echo kung sakaling umabot man sa late game. For both teams, one game at a time, but don't lose focus on the bigger goal. It's easy to focus on other things at pwede kang ma-backdoor agad or ma-segue ng Echo, and that's also true with Omega na pwede kayong makontra pa sa push. Yan na kailangan gawin ng dalawang teams, and that's Keys to Victory brought to us by Infinix.
So those are your K2Vs, and similar story, late game, early game, all that jazz. But Chantel, let's talk about now Omega's early game. We know them to be late game. What can Omega do here to make sure that they can contest Echo in their comfort in the early game?
Well, actually, when we say Echo, it is a chaotic type of, more on the chaotic side. So for Smart Omega, as much as possible, they have to bring, usually we say you have to bring in chaos in order. But for Echo, they also, for Smart Omega per se, they have to bring in chaos in chaos. For example, they really have to look forward on those players that are, we could see the pattern actually for Echo. We've been mentioning the Echo Express early game, but what if they find a specific player that has to be stopped? Maybe the gold lane or possible Carlteasy on the jungle area, which is actually nice. Even a gold laner, possibly, because they have to give space to Kelra since he's up against the Storm Benecutie.
So mathematically speaking, it's like chaos squared. Like you multiply chaos with chaos.
Ah, brother, why do you have to bring in math?
You bring in, because we can do math quickly though. Yeah. And I think that's a very good point, because the way you break Echo Express and ecosystem is that you multiply the chaos that you bring into the table and work with that. Because we've seen the inconsistencies as well on the side of Smart Omega. If you can put those inconsistencies to use, like break the psychology of Echo, maybe that's the way to go about it, because it's very hard to fight into Echo with just sheer mechanics, because they have so many talented players, and also just objectives, because Echo just naturally snowballs.
Okay, so I like this picture we're trying to paint for Omega, wherein the somewhat chaotic controlled chaotic ecosystem, one of the best ways to go up against it is if you yourself aren't too systematic.
Yeah.
If you aren't to A, B, and C, and you change up the alphabet and go A, B, and then F, and then just surprise that way. I like this. I like this picture we're trying to paint for Omega.
You have to go quantum physics on this one.
Yeah,
this is quantum physics.
It's all about science, you know, and we could see that actually it's interesting that we saw the early matchup between Echo and Smart Omega this season, and it was a 2-1.
Yeah.
So we all know that Omega is also the team that brings in chaos. They don't really have a system, and on those moments that they were up against each other, it is the Smart Omega that still not gelled in properly, but this time around, I feel like we might see that systematic, chaotic type of play, whatever we call it now.
Yeah, so in a way, to contextualize this even further, to simplify it, maybe we should see more lineups that will shine as skirmish type, maybe 2 or 3 roaming together instead of full team fighting comps. Something good for pickoffs and stuff.
I'd say I'd call this, because they're the Kings of Sea,
Okay.
play the rough waves. Like
Oh,
waves are
that's
really
smooth.
chaotic by nature, but if you understand the math, you can replicate any single wave in the ocean. So I feel like that is the main point that we're making here for Smart Omega, even though we went so deep with the science and math.
Like a sea.
The summary is that if Omega can play in a very chaotic but replicable way up against Echo, they might have a chance to break this sort of ecosystem that was built around week 3, week 4.
Now that we are seeing the draft of Smart Omega, we really have to consider how fast they are banning, actually, having this Yuzhong, even Glue, and Akai. So they don't want that type of sustain for the heroes of Echo, and at the same time, they're securing that Akai cannot be used on 2 purposes, maybe a jungler or even a hero for Yaoi. So this is a nice route for Smart Omega. Smart move, actually, for them. And now for Echo, since they banned out 1-1 and even Arlot, they could actually ban out Fanny. Or it's going to be a different one. It's going to be Kaja. So we've mentioned Fanny Joy is actually open for this game.
Yeah,
so
but-
we might see a very fast type of play. But if I were Smart Omega, it's easier for them to actually secure the Joy instead of Fanny, since Echo is really more on the early game, but it's going to be a different story this time around.
Okay.
Fredrin as their priority pick.
All right, so they take it away from the hands of Carl Tizzy. Okay, funnily enough, what we've talked about that Omega needs to do is Echo are respecting somewhat. They took away 3 heroes that have been menaces, that can make plays for themselves. Great with just 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 small type of skirmishes. So Echo knows that's what we want to avoid going up against. We can't go up against an Omega squad that doesn't need to rely on team fight and that are just strong with just like guerrilla style warfare, quick pickoffs and surprises.
And this also shows that Omega did their homework. This is what RSG used to do against Echo when they broke them off on that game. They banned out the Yuzhong and the Akai. Well, when they played, they also banned out the Cho, but now it's open. But I love the answer from Echo. It's the classic counter against the Frederick with the Lapu Lapu and Valentina. But you instantly get the Melissa from Killer, something that we haven't really seen them fully use on, because they've kept on playing Beatrix, Harith, even the Claudes, Moscows, but now it is going to be on the hands of Kelra, which means a different hero will come out on Echo.
Yep, and actually for Smart Omega, it's a smart move again for them, because they know that Echo will pick a Valentina, and they went in for a hero. For possible hero for Storm here on this game, which is Faramis. So the airborne skill isn't expected from Echo, so there's no really counter for the side of against this Melissa, which is actually good. But the thing here is for Echo, they are they're known to be a type of team wherein they're prepared for the Faramis play, so they easily pick the Claude on this game, which is nice for them. So looking at the banner now, it's gonna be Joy. So it's very interesting that we see Joy to be banned on the second phase. So I'm not really expecting to see Joy to be banned unless you have a different hero in mind, maybe because they've already secured the hero already for Sanford, which is Lapu. And Lance, okay, so
Interesting.
it's as if Smart Omega actually denies one of the strong heroes for Ryzen. Remember that majority of the heroes that Ryzen used on their wins is the tank slot, so this is a different story for them.
Yeah, but now with how the drafting went on here, as we still don't know the pick for Carl Tizzy, he might end up picking something like a tank, Jungle Grok, actually, considering that Fredrin might go into the hands of Ryzen.
By the way, this is something that Echo did against, I believe that was BREN Esports when they were up against Fredrin. They played the Valentina jungle.
Ah. So Valentina jungle up against a Fredrin.
Yeah, it's a hero that matches up well with the Fredrin because the thing is, even if you try to duke it out as Fredrin against a Valentina, you're not gonna be coming out of that duel in a victorious state because Valentina just sips out some health and XP from harassing you. So it is a possibility for Echo to go for that route, and they're in a very good place right now to actually get Cho still.
Oh yeah, Cho. Cho is the perfect hero here for Echo, actually, even for the side of a Smart Omega. Remember that these are the teams that uses that, but he's gonna...
Valentina jungle.
So Valentina jungle. So we could see the adjustment of Echo. We've mentioned earlier that there's no airborne to be expected from Echo, and they really respect that Kelra is gonna be using Melissa. So nice adjustment by Echo, which makes Smart Omega that they could actually even convert this Fredrin into an XP laner.
Yep.
Just to find and zone out this Valentina, or maybe even the Eve on this game. So for Luis's hero, we could expect possible. Actually, I was about to say Yusha, but it was bad with Smart Omega itself. But Benedetta and
that's why.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So
That's
they
why
pick up the Franco and they can stick it. And I wanted to say this, a Grok for Yaoi. They just needed something that can crowd control, maybe even quickly knock up Kelra inside his go-away bubble. Just something that can disrupt. A quick little knock-up. It doesn't need to be a stun on the wall. Just a quick little knock-up would be enough coming in from the Grok. Okay, we have a clear picture now of the drafts of these two teams.
Okay, so looking at the lineup for both of our teams, we could say that this is really a type of lineup wherein there's no point in them to deal with each other in terms of other objectives. It's really more of stopping the tempo of each other, having the Grok on the side of Echo, and at the same time the Faramis Cult Altar for Smart Omega. It's thinking wisely and as much as possible predicting the movement. So vision is going to be a problem here for the side of Smart Omega, not knowing that there is a Grok for the side of Echo. And again, late game versus early game, but for the lineup of Smart Omega, they are also up for the early game, having the Franco, and they really have to capitalize on this Franco play. Maybe the Flicker Bloody Hunt for early game.
Yeah, so what we talked about in terms of what Omega needs to do and how they want to play, they exactly did it. A lineup that has heroes that can make plays alone. A lineup that's good for 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 pickoffs. Omega have filled out their conditions well that we've set for them.
Yep, and you want Chaos Squared? You have Paramis Valentina. You know, there's 2 cult altars happening in this game. I'm gonna lose my voice here, but Hook is gonna coming out from Miko. Carl TZ is gonna be delayed a little bit, but that is not going to be a problem for the Valentina.
Okay, so for Smart Omega, what we really have to focus is the Petrify spell from Luis. The difference is that for Echo, yes, they have crowd control, but a millisecond of Petrify is a big factor in terms of team fights, so they really have to look forward in that, knowing that Benedetta is the type of hero that escapes well during team fights. But this is Sanford he's up against, so we might see a 5v5 as early as possible because you want to, as much as possible, counter out the rotation. So this is the usual play. True. We were seeing on the bottom lane, by the way, having Franco on your lineup. So Benny Cutie is just careful on that.
Yeah, that's another factor we have to discuss here is where these roamers will prioritize their positioning in the game. Are they going to be spending more time, roaming? Are they going to be spending more time with their gold laners? Maybe even make some surprise rotations onto other parts of the map to throw off your opponent? Yaoi and Miko here can do so much with just a little movement, a little bit of positioning that can throw off their opponent big time.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised nobody kept their eyes on the Cho because Yaoi and Miko, their most played heroes, I believe, was both Cho and Kaja.
Yeah, Cho and Kaja, yeah.
But they went with the Grok and Franco. It's a matchup that is quite favorable for the Grok, I would say, especially on the early stages of the game. But in terms of win condition, Franco definitely has the more useful one because there is that instant catch. He's a walking win condition, for God's sake. So I think that's what is that is what is good on the side of a Smart Omega. But you did mention that both sides can actually fight in the mid game as 5, and I feel like with Echo having this incredible power spike with the Valentina, it's gonna be difficult for Omega to hold their own.
Well, actually, it's interesting to see that Echo has been forcing those plates or altitude energy shields on top lane. So they are just preparing for that turtle team fight. And take note that the IMU here for Carl TZ is going to be that cult altar. Sanford already used his, what do you call this, bravest fighter.
It does not hit, and Carl TZ is still on the turtle. Sanford, however, on 3 heroes. Reload manipulation has been laid out by Sanji like a final blow, but Echo gets the turtle, and Omega gets nothing in return.
Big win early on there for Echo. Not the approach that Omega wanted to do in that sequence. A little bit messy there, but it's also a testament to Echo just messing them up.
Yep, indeed messy. And again, this is the edge of having a Grok on your lineup, anti-crowd control, and you actually deal the crowd control for your team. And at the same time, it's as if Miko wanted to go for that hook, but at the same time, he wasn't able to pull that off against Sanji. So it's as if Omega is taking their time to have that Diesel power up. So we are looking forward to those set of plays. And a good thing is that when we talk about the marksman matchup at the bottom lane, things are looking good. So we might see the conversion later on at around 8 minutes of our game.
This, I believe, is the fastest DHS of the league. 310 on Benecutie.
Oh.
On the Claude.
Very quickly there that he got it. So it just goes to show how much fun and comfort Benecutie has there in the gold lane. And now he's even quickly rotating through the mid lane to get a bit of farm as well. And now, because of Omega being pick-off dependent, not with their 2 pulls. They have 2 pulls. One of the Franco, one of the Faramis. Maybe that's why they ended up going with the Grok, because usually the victims of pulls from these two are the roamers of the opposing team. Yeah. So now Yawi just sticking beside walls, power of nature, doesn't need to worry about it because he doesn't get crowd control in that state.
And in other moments, actually, he can be the bait for the other team. And then if there's going to be a pull from Omega, he would just go for the wild charge, just to counter out the initiation. Instant dongo. As nice as says.
Dongo. The dongo.
That's how he really pronounces it?
Yeah.
The dongo.
Yeah.
The dongo.
He says dongo.
Yeah. By the way, explainer there, that's what certain players, especially on the side of Echo, call the ultimate of the Grok, the dungul. But
Nice
if you're,
dongo.
yeah, but if you're nice and you're in the English stream, it's dongo.
Dongo.
Not a dongo.
It's kind of like the same.
Yeah.
Dongo.
All right.
Did you just say dongo?
Okay.
We might see that dongle again for this spiritual objective. It's active for Yawi, but we can see for Omega right now, they really have to consider how Stone will use the cult altar.
Again, with the bravest fighter zoning out the brethren of Smart Omega, and again, fundamental approach by Echo to secure that turtle.
One-man zone out here, and we're getting closer and closer to sudden power spike, one team fight leading to 3 or 4 kills timers for Echo. I need to come up with a better way to shorten that, but that's what I'm talking about here. The Claude undisturbed, fastest DHS so far.
That's
Echo can spike suddenly and surprise Omega.
Yes, and this is actually dangerous for the side of Omega because it is not the usual Echo that we see. They are on a slow start, but everything is working well for their rotation.
Carl, both retries has been used, Ryzen with the energy eruption. And Echo, they're just waiting for the chance here, but Benecutie has been pushing. There goes the dongle from Yawi, and Keller drops as Carl TZ goes in with his own cult altar just to get out of the tower, and Echo takes the kill.
The charge was indeed wild by Yawi, setting up that kill.
The dongle for a dungeon play here for Omega. And this is something that Omega has to look forward. Again, those flicker wall charges from Yawi and Echo right now, they are slowly turning into that Echo Express again. But for Omega, what they really want is to, as much as possible, give space to Kelra. Even Luis with those backup plays, having the Petrify, we've mentioned that earlier. Now, Cartis, the good thing with this jungler, or the play that he's been doing, is since he has the lead in terms of the levels, he is aware that there is a passive advantage against the other players. But right now, take note that Luis already has the Bloodlust Axe. So we might see him to be part of the initiations and even the team fight later on.
Yeah, that's a big if though, because so far I've just been seeing way more Sanford with how he's controlling lane. Quicker to clear the wave, maximizing his damage and pokes, that his presence is much more felt compared to the Benedetta of Omega.
Yeah, and it feels bad for Smart Omega, dude. Like, Ryzen, his resources, it's being taken away by the Grok.
Yeah, but the Grok, take note, he's supposed to give vision, but at the same time, he's able to negate the jungling pattern of Omega. Even the movement right now of Omega isn't really that nice if you're up against Echo, and the lead is just expanding for Echo on this game. It is now around to 3K. So later on, there is going to be a conversion for the side of Echo. And looking at the difference in terms of the itemization, even for, we call it an itemization we're in for Sanford, that he is aware that he needs the damage and at the same time physical defense. So leg steel plates and added the physical attack, and in an instant, the Benedetta just pokes the turrets against Omega.
Grok is getting the vision over Smart Omega. Ryzen with the energy on the hook. The hook's there. Reload manipulation being used by Sanji, but Yawi is able to flicker out. Ryzen follows up with the Appraiser's Wrath, and he is able to get the roamer off the Orcus. But Sanford has a different idea with a flicker in onto Kelra against the Melissa. It's damage and not yet. The caller is there, and Omega saves their own marksman. They take two, and Echo cannot answer back. The card easy. He wants to fight still, but Smart Omega disengages.
And look at that. After that team fight, Echo just disengaged against Omega, and there's no actually trade for the side of Omega. But these are the moments wherein if you are Echo, you have to be mindful of those flicker initiations that are really deep on the map of Smart Omega. It is a 2-2, yes, but look at the lead. It is 1.5k gold lead, and even Sanji has the Ice Queen 1, so things might be slower for Omega if they really want to counter-engage against Echo.
Oh, the Tongo is there from Yawi the Grok. With the wild charge onto the Benedetta, electric final blow being used, but Sanji is there to catch the Benedetta off guard, and he cuts off the exit for the Benedetta.
Brilliant decision there by Yawi. He was waiting for an eye for an eye of the Benedetta, saving the ultimate, maximizing the Dungo coming out of that Grok.
Every wild charge.
Yeah, and even right on point for the Void Crystal for Sanji at that moment, so the Luis.
Carl with the poke on the Fredrin. Ryzen at 75% HP, and Echo is confident on this Lord take. Miko, however, is sitting in front of the Lord, so he gets vision. Hook is not going to land on anybody, and Smart Omega has their heroes on, has their sights on this Lord.
Echo has the lead here, but we have seen Omega has a capability to turn around the situation. So Echo needs to respect that. They still have the lead, but Omega might just turn this around if Echo aren't careful.
Actually, it's a bit difficult for Ryzen to force this Lord pull because of the taunts from Kartizi's hero. So even the slow from Sanji onto this game. Nice control by Echo, by the way, on this Lord pick.
Echo, Yawi positioning himself to find and look for a big wild charge. The Guardian's Barrier is there, but Storm is in with the Ghost person. Sanji though with the real manipulation. Luis with the electric battle blow, but Kartizi secures the Lord here for Echo, and they want to fight. They have Lapu Lapu on the front lines against Ryzen and Omega. They cannot hold back. The hook is there. It connects onto Sanji, but very cutie with the blazing duet. Echo, they really want to fight conceal from Smart Omega. They want to chase for more, but the wild charge is there from the Grok, and Echo. They completely wipe out the heroes here on the side of Smart Omega. It is just Stone left, but there are enough heroes on the side of Echo to just dive in the towers of Smart Omega. They take out the Claude, however, with Luis on the Benedetta. He wants to go for more, but Yawi is survivable. He is able to get out of the fight with Kartizi. He wants to go for the chase against Luis, but the Benedetta can get away. But that is massive for Echo.
For Yawi, dang, that's the goal for that Grok. Again, he was able to pull off that play, and take note, we didn't have to commend what Sanji did during that moment. He was able to zone out Stone and force the Cult Altar just to be used alone to save himself during that team fight. And at that moment, Echo was just dictating the flow of the objective taking on that Lord. That nice minion wave flowing, by the way, for the team. And we can see now a gap in terms of the gold for this marksman. For Omega, we only have 2 items for Kelra on this game, while for Echo, for Benecutie to be exact, he has
Seal.
Okay.
Yawi with the wild charge and real world manipulation being laid out by Sanji. But the Cold Otter is there, but it has been depleted by Echo, and they don't have a sustain. Lapu Lapu goes in, as well as Kartizi. Benecutie as well with the damage output, but he is fighting off Kelra. He wants to be able to fight back against Echo, but the Blazing Duet is there to take out the Melissa and Smart Omega. They lose 4 and Echo only loses Sanford.
Kelro falls to the tune of the Blazing Duet as the Orcas have their eyes set on ending this game.
Easy, he comes in, energy eruption, it's not gonna be enough, and Echo, they are gonna take game number 1.
Louder and louder are the drums of war of Echo thundering. Closer to the barangay, backs against the wall is Omega. Echo comfortably pushing them and comfortably pushing themselves into the upper bracket. Just one more point away.
You know what? For Echo, we've mentioned the controlled aggression, the Echo Express, and it translated on this game.
Yeah.
They started slow, but when the right moment was there, they were able to pull off and counter out the supposedly aggression from a Smart Omega, which is actually nice because they're able to weigh now, which is better for them, what suits them well in terms of team fights.
Yeah, and it's funny because we set it up earlier. Slow-paced games such as these, having a lineup that is built like that from Echo, it'll all just explode in one moment.
Yeah.
And it did. It took until the Lord. It looked good for Omega. Again, we were setting up that they can contest it, but Echo was just very, as you mentioned, systematic about how they approached that team fight. Although Sanji got caught out from a beautiful hook by Miko, and Luis was holding on for dear life, Echo knew they had the lead and they held on to it.
Yeah, and the game is not chaotic enough, I think, for Smart Omega. They just consistently reacted to whatever Echo was doing, and it ended up being a very clean game for the Orcas as they just took over the map, got in the resources, and was able to convert that into mid-game power spike, which is very, very strong on their side. And again, very nice dunkles from the Grok.
I love what Chantel said earlier. Dang, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
if that
That's
flew
nice.
over
I like
your heads
it.
right there, that's a wordplay there. But season 10 Filipino broadcast best caster. I am not gonna hesitate with mentioning that when I can. I've done it twice today. Maybe I won't do it anymore, but because I don't want to be constantly repeating it. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what the little things here that maybe we have missed out that Chantel is gonna bring up. Because this was a game where it was very clear in terms of the macro sense what the heck just happened. The story A, B to C, very obvious. But I'm sure there are some certain little details that you'll talk more about later. But at this point, yeah, very clear cut. What happened there?
And I think for Smart Omega, it is something that they need to adjust for game number 2, because on game number 1, again, aside from no chaos, I think they just reacted to whatever Echo was doing.
All right, sit down and open up your ears and your mind. Donya Chantel is going to do the laydown for the analysis for game number 1.
Just when I thought that it's going to be a chaotic game for both of our teams, we saw pure dominance for Echo during that game. Again, controlled aggression, and at the same time, they really know how to weigh things during that game. Speaking of weighing, we could weigh the difference in terms of the hero composition for both of our teams. For Echo, we could see a Valentina converted type of hero, which is actually meant to be a pause for a hero. But since Omega was early to reveal the Melissa pick, they converted it into a jungler for Carl Tizzy. So this is a nice adjustment, to be exact, for Echo into this game. And even the prioritization or picking all the Glock during that moment. Again, the difference in terms of the as initiator of Echo is really nice as compared to the Franco of Omega. Yes, there are moments of brilliance with Miko's hooks, but at the same time for Yawi, it's a different story for him. As much as possible, he wants to go in for that dongles, and at the same time, how he will really set up perfectly for his teammates since he has that AoE type of marksman on Benny QT's hero. We could see a difference actually in terms of taking the turtle objectives, and most of them, or not most of them, all of them went to Echo's side. Now looking at the overall team statistics for this game, damage to turret very high for Echo, as to why Midnight mentioned that it's as if Omega has been proactive or just actively acting out on those moments wherein Echo wants to set up a play. Again, we could see 11 total assists for Yawi. There are 3, 4, wild charges. I was about to forget the name of the ultimate because of the don't go mention that we've been doing. Anyway, for BenQ, that's 92% team fight participation, perfect conversion if you are a gold laner. We've been mentioning, yes, that you can have a good laning on your lanes, but at the same time, it's really about the conversion. So Echo was able to pull that off. As to why even on the Monster Gold stolen is really high for Echo. Again, we've been mentioning the wild charges from this guy. He is a smart MVP. Yawi on this rock. 1-1-11 on the KDA. Kill participation of 92%. That's really high, considering that we don't really see him go for the usual vision that he plays. But at the same time, he is on those moments or those places wherein you are expecting Smart Omega to be. So for example, we could see here on our heat map, actually, for Yawi, that he's all over the place. There is an adjustment wherein he went in for the XP lane as much as possible because that is where the turtle will spawn on the early part of the game. But he is aware that he needs to help at the same time BenQ because Keller is on the other lane and the gold is actually almost the same at the early part of the game. Again, that is the first blood. He's just aware wherein the players of Omega is going to be placed on those moments. And again, Echo has been playing really well against Omega on this moment. Because for the lineup of Omega, you are expecting to see Luis at the same time so for those team fights. But again, for Echo, it's really more of them being fully aware of the competence of their lineup and at the same time, the advantages of having this type of lineup. We will see, or we saw on this 9-minute team fight we're in. Actually, before this started, or before this moment went into this, there was a nice real-world manipulation from Sanji as to why Storm was forced to use that cult altar against the Echo. So yes, there are moments wherein Omega was able to pull off a kill, but at the same time, Echo was just really on the lead, 5.1k at around 10 minutes. That's really high for a 10-minute game. And that 5.6k lead is most probably on the hands of BenQ. And it's surprising to see that on a week 8, knowing that this is Omega versus Echo, that the things are going to be this fast because this is a late game and even an early game type of lineup. So when they clash together, it's the early game that won on game number 1 because they are aware that they're up against a team that has timers, the Omega timers, and that is just game number 1. I'm sure my co-casters are really excited to see our game number 2.
Yeah, and I'm glad, again, you mentioned the little detail that we missed out on. It was the timing of Sanji's real-world manipulations.
Yeah.
In the crucial team fight there in the Lord, you brought it up. It was him putting it up at the right time to force the cult altar out. And it seemed like with what you mentioned about Omega earlier, with them being a little bit too reactive, once they lose a key ability, they scramble.
Yeah.
It's like they lose their footing and they forget, like, oh, this is what we need to do. And they just get lost.
Yeah, it's like they don't know what to do on certain fights. And I feel like these individual micro decisions that Echo makes affects the overall macro movements of Smart Omega because they cannot fight in their own terms because it's always forced out. And whenever, again, as you mentioned, whenever Sanji comes in with the reroute manipulation, Omega just scrambles. And when you do that, you're susceptible to blazing duets, wild charge, even if you try to re-engage. Even though Luis had a fantastic time on the Benedetta, it wasn't enough because he didn't have enough damage to sort of deal with Echo at that point, especially with the lead that the Orcas has amassed at that point.
Yeah. So it's like dominoes. Small actions, big consequences. It seems like that was the story of game number 1 for Omega versus Echo. So let's see what's going to happen for game number 2. And for us here, by the way, you can actually celebrate the power of music in the MLBB All-Star Music Carnival. I believe that's the one with Itzy. More than 25,000 merch, 1 million diamonds and valued in-game rewards are waiting to be given away. The best part, admission's free. Just go to Market in Taguig City on April 22 and let's get the party started. People might misunderstand what I mean. Itzy will not be in Market. I'm just saying that Itzy and the whole All-Star thing that we have, the 5.5.
They're part of it.
They're part of it.
Okay.
But we're going to have that music carnival anyway in Market in Taguig City, April 22.
What do you call the fandom again?
Of Itzy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a 1, so...
I don't know too.
So...
I'm...
Yikes.
Never mind.
Itzy fans are going to be chasing us. I'm going to have to search that real quick. Let's talk about things because now I can't find it.
No worries. I'm pretty
All
sure
right, Midzi.
Oh, Midzi.
Okay,
Midzi.
Amid? not Zido, but
Midnight.
mid-teasy.
You're
Can be
midnight.
mid-teasy, you know.
Yeah.
So what about the Teasy brothers? Are there mid-C fans?
Mids.
I know some of them are.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
No, it's like I
Interesting.
know. Okay. Fun fact: K-pop and esports in the Philippines has a very strong link.
It's kind of synonymous, though.
Yeah, it's synonymous at this point. Hence why we were so happy when we found out like ITZY would be global ambassadors for the 515 anniversary.
First requests were like ticket concerts.
Yeah,
Ticket
actually.
concert. I just want a Yeji skin. All
Yeah.
that. So
Oh,
many
Yeji
things.
skin. Mm.
Yeah, I'm a Yeji bias.
Which hero, though?
I don't know, anyone.
Hanabi?
Hanabi.
Anyone.
Anyone, but as long as Yeji skin.
I'd
Yeah,
say
that's what I'm
Masha.
saying.
Because
Does it
she
look
looks
right?
Like, she looks
Masha?
like a cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
'Cause like
Yeah,
a
and
cat.
Yeji
So
looks
we
like a
might
cat.
see a cat like running really fast.
Yeah.
Cute
just
cat.
All right.
Wildcat.
So we've talked about our fan wishes right now for ITZY skins, and hopefully you're enjoying the day so far. We still have game number 2 coming up, and of course we are coming to you live from the shooting gallery. We actually have our smart game phase of the day. Who's it gonna be? Team Shooting Gallery be the next smart game phase of the day winner. Just flash the hashtag Power of Smart on your devices in a green background, such as these lovely ladies are doing right now, and these fine young gentlemen as well. When the camera is up on your face, don't be scared, don't run away. You have been warned beforehand that this will happen to you.
You have been warned.
You have been warned. Put your game face on. Look at this guy right here.
Hey, rock
That's
hard.
how
No,
you
just
do
kidding.
it. That's not rock. That is not
is
rock
not
hard.
That is not rock hard.
Rock hard.
That
Too
is not rock
far.
hard.
He
He's
isn't.
behind.
He
He's behind.
isn't.
He's behind. There you go.
Yeah.
He's right there.
We're here.
Congratulations. Good job on you, man. Oh, there. That was not rock hard.
That was not
very,
rock hard.
Very, very far.
He
I
isn't.
was just kidding.
By the way, rock hard,
We miss you.
We love
miss
you.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's okay.
He's
Rock
okay.
hard's okay. It's just we're clingy as a group of
Yeah.
casters. Okay. We miss everyone. Like during the Holy Week break, we were sending each other like the most random of messages sometimes
Yeah.
in our group chat. So that's just
Attendance.
us here.
Attendance.
Yeah, attendance.
Even the
work.
never mind.
Is the workout.
I'm not gonna say
We might
anything.
slip and say something
Yep.
that we shouldn't
So
say in terms
as-
of. Okay, so yeah.
To be safe.
To be safe.
To be safe.
Let's
I'm
leave
not
it at that.
mentioning anything.
Yeah, we're clingy as all hell
Yeah.
here in MPL Philippines. And hopefully the clinginess bleeds onto you guys. Continue watching and, of course, watch the playoffs as well, which is coming up May 4 to 7. Speaking of, let us go over to the fans with Mara Aquino right now here in Shooting Gallery.
Everybody, echo loud! Echo proud! They're proud, they're loud, at alam nyo, isa sa mga biggest factor kung bakit successful ang isang tao dahil sa parents, sa family, and here with me, mommy, daddy, and sister ni Carl Teasy. How are you guys?
Okay naman po.
Okay naman po.
Mommy Karina, right? Parang assassin. Sa ML, naglalaro po ba kayo ng ML?
Hindi po.
Sino po naglalaro dito?
Si Papa, tsaka
Si Papa
yung
Gab.
kapatid.
At saka si Bunso Sandra. So, anong po, rank?
Epic 1 na po ngayon.
Epic! Sandra, ikaw? Ikaw, Denise?
Epic din po.
Epic! Okay, so laging nakakalaro si Carl.
Minsan po, pagka off niya po.
Kamusta naman sa school? Si Bunso, kamusta sa school? Kasi syempre, for sure, kilala ka ng mga schoolmates mo. Ano yung mga comments sa'yo?
Ano po, chinachat po nila ako, sinasabihan po, pa-shoutout naman po sa kuya mo. Ganun po. Tapos nangingi din po ng skin tsaka jersey.
Nangihingi ng skin, nangihingi sa jersey. So sikat ka dahil kay kuya. Mami, Daddy, ito po yung yung anak niyo po ang nag-iisa na naka-achieve na 2-time world champion. Wow! How does it feel na your 18-year-old kilalang-kilala sa buong mundo?
Sobrang proud po kami dyan kay Carl. Actually, yung jersey niya na M2 at M4, pinaprame ko pa. Kasama yung ID niya. Naka-frame po yun sa bahay. Sobrang proud kami sa kanya kasi at his age, narating niya na yung pagiging champion na pinangapangarap niya.
Carl started at age 14. The entire time po ba naniwala kayo sa esports? Naniwala po ba kayo sa ML?
At first po, hindi eh. Kasi parang napapabayaan niya before yung pag-aaral niya. Kasi yung imbis na magta-top 1 pa siya, so na-hold kasi dahil sa gaming. So medyo nung una, nung time na sinabi niya sa akin na bigyan siya ng chance para ipapatunayan niya na pagsasabayin niya yung pag-aaral at saka yung paglalaro. Nakita ko naman yung yung ginawa niya, yung discipline niya doon. So yun.
Ano po yung rule nyo kay Carl? Habang naglalaro ng what's the rule?
Ang rule ko lang po sa kanya, huwag pababayaan ng pag-aaral. Kahit na naglalaro siya, wag siya mag-i-stop.
So ngayon nasa school pa rin po siya?
Yes po,
Yes,
yes po.
graduating po si Carl, grade 12 po, sa Laguna Northwestern College.
Now, naging champion na po siya twice. So ano po yung mga nagawa niya sa family na bigay sa inyo with his winnings?
Napakarami na po.
Let's list them.
At first, bumili po siya ng sasakyan nung
nice.
M2, nagbigay po siya ng pabili ng kotse. And then this M4, pinapalitan niya po ng mas malaki sasakyan.
That's ano po yung biggest goal niya na sinabi niya na shinare niya with you, with ML? Na gusto niyang gawin, ibigay?
Ang sinabi niya po sa amin, bibigyan ko muna kayo ng bahay, then pagkatapos nyo, ako
Siya
naman.
opo.
Ayun po.
Nakaka-proud! Eto, Sandra, maglalaro na si Kuya. Alam mo naman yung ginagawa ko, pagbato natin sa casters, pwede bang ikaw yung gumawa?
Sige.
Alright. Ang ganda mo, ha?
Dalawa
Okay, go
tayo,
ahead.
anak.
Dalawa sila, si Mami din.
Go.
Casters?
Pasok.
All right, so that was the family of Carl Teasy talking about, well, the GOAT, Matt himself. Sorry, just needed to do it. Matt. Midnight, we were talking about
We've been
this.
practicing that actually
We've
during
been
the
practicing.
interview.
And
Do give a good warning for that.
no, why would I warn you that I'm going to do it?
I was not prepared at all.
I'll do whatever the heck I want here. By the way, I want to bring this up that you mentioned. Of course, there was a time where you got to work closely with Carl Teasy and the team, and he had insanely high grades. You called him a genius even.
He had flying colors, passed all the tests, had very good remarks from from the professors and teachers. Did all the assignments, by the way.
Nice.
Even with the even during the stressful times of just pure scrims and rank games, he manages to squeeze out this time to just study and complete out the assignments. Was cool.
If you're going to be the GOAT, two-time world champ, well, might as well get awesome grades to boot while doing it. So it's good to know that our pros, a lot of them still really prioritize education. Although there are some who have chosen to sacrifice education for the time being so that they can focus on being professionals. There are those also as well who take the monumental task of balancing studies with being a professional MPL-PH player. Speaking of homework and tests, let's go into the draft now.
Okay, now we will see a change in terms of the sides, switching of sides. Echo now is on the blue side, while Smart Omega is going to be on the red side. Again, it is a good thing for Smart, although in this season, we actually see those wins on the blue side. But if you are Smart Omega, they're known to be a team that counters the draft of the other team. So this is actually nice for them. So now for Echo, it's interesting that they're banning all the heroes that can be used by Sanj as well. So for Stome, limited type of heroes, limited heroes actually for him. We might say Kalita to be picked by Echo here on this game, knowing that the mage heroes are being limited by the team. So right now for Omega, they're focusing again on the Yushang. Remember that they banned this hero, same with Glue and Akai on the first game, but it's going to be a different story. This time around, it's going to be Valentina for this game.
Yeah, which is terrifying for me because it seems like Echo are just going for let's mess up Stone. Let's also mess up Kelra a little bit because this is very unorthodox drafting right now by Echo. But this is just them hard focusing on specific players of Omega.
Can I just say that Echo at this point is fully utilizing the prospect of being first pick because you are the first team to get the first hero out of the game, and you are very much scared of the power picks that can come out from Smart Omega. But what Echo is doing is throwing some comfort bans up against Smart Omega so that they open up more meta heroes when the draft rotates to them.
now that the Kaj has been picked here by Echo, we might see Omega to pick the tanks a lot. It was banned earlier, actually. So it could be a factor for them. Glue is open, so Glue Lancel could be one for Smart Omega if they want to go for those safer routes. But we mentioned Kalita earlier. We saw this go into the Smart Omega's route since it has been limited. And the usual 3 heroes that Stone has been using is this, and it's effective for them. Okay, we mentioned the tanks a lot. It's going to be on Carl TZ's side, or Carl TZ's hands, by the way.
That's dirty.
Yeah,
that's dirty.
Yo, legit, everyone right now just went, oh! Like, not just Midnight here, but everyone in the studio
Actually,
just
I did it. It was the fans. No,
Yeah, it was the fans.
It was
right
the fans.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Everyone just went on a collective oof.
Here's the thing. It's so technical. Like, when Omega picked up the glue, of course, you naturally get up the glue because Promise is not in the pool anymore. And you snatched the Kadita away from both Sanji and Yaoi. But Echo was like, okay, you just gave us both Lancelot and Arla. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it seems like right now.
Mincitar! Is this the first time we will be seeing Mincitar this MPL Season 11?
Yeah, that was a debut pick here in the Philippines.
Okay, this is Smart Omega who's gonna be using it. And when we imagine Smart Omega to be picking a new hero in the table, it's expected to be bloody as hell.
Yeah, that's true. Can he make it work though? Can he make this work?
Question is though, where do you put the Mincitar? Do you put him roam? Do you put him XP? And then you play Glue pos 4, Krita pos 5? Like, there's still a lot of playing room for Smart Omega.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's kind of hard because you are playing against a lineup with a catch that can take you down.
Yeah, and at the same time, there's no really synergy if you talk about Mincitar and Kalida
definitely.
together. So it's as if they will act alone, individually with the contrast of this. If Mikoy is to use this Mincitar, so maybe an XP lane is a better option for them. So we could see now Smart Omega, by the way, to focus on this pos for mages or pos for heroes against the Sanji, which is actually nice because they have. Or in totality, there are 5 bans actually for pos for heroes. Although we might see the Gushon.
From Sanji.
From
That's
Sanji.
right. The Gushon,
Gushon Kaja,
the Julian.
Yeah, the mid lane hero pool for Echo here is something that still has to be respected by Omega.
It's an ocean of a pool for
Yeah,
Sanji.
it's an ocean. They're up against some rough waves though from a Kadita.
Oh, we did mention earlier, Omega needed some form of rough waves.
Yeah.
On their gameplay, but this is the literal sense.
Yeah, they took
rough
that
waves.
literally.
Literally rough waves.
Yeah, which again still goes into our idea of what we wanted to see from Omega in terms of they still have a lineup that can pick off. You guys mentioned that they don't necessarily have like the best synergy. However, they do have great individual capability.
Yep.
The guerrilla style warfare for Omega is still possible. We have to talk more about this Mincitar. If you were not able to watch the playoffs of MPL Indonesia, Psychots of EVOS Legends was an absolute monster with this hero in the XP lane. It is the pick that actually broke the dreams of a Geek Slate in the first round of their playoffs at Mincitar pick. And now even more picks here from Omega. They're going Hellcurt.
You know what? If Blacklist is break the code, Omega's like break the brain.
I wasn't really expecting
Break the train.
a Hellcurt.
Yeah, break the train.
I wasn't really expecting a Hellcurt from Smart Omega, but this is actually nice. So Yaoi's movement might be restricted on this game because he has to look forward or like really predict where Ryzen will be coming from on every team fight after the Dark Knight falls. It's gonna be difficult for Echo actually. Majority of them are really squishy.
Yeah, and speaking about difficulty, all 5 heroes are countered by Mincitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one hero
That's
counters the entire lineup of Echo. Even though the Kagura can play into the Hellcurt, but playing these 5 heroes against Mincitar, whenever a clash breaks out, it feels bad for Echo to fight, especially if Mincitar goes for the flicker. He can just use the flicker in King's Calling, and I love this Leslie pick for the purpose of coming to late game.
Well, actually, this is a nice hero for Smart Omega. Again, the ultimate snipe can be used as a vision.
Yeah.
When Leslie was part of there was a time that Leslie has been picked totally on every ranked games.
Yeah.
And the edge for that is if you are to go for the double laning, you can
Yep.
use the ultimate snipe even on the middle lane just to pursue a team fight
Yeah.
on the middle, then go back to the lane. So this is a nice call for Pakbet and Etomax. And when we say crazy, this is a crazy draft actually.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up earlier when we were setting up the story of this series, wherein if you're going to expect craziness, it's going to be coming from a team like Omega. And Chantel, we got it. We got Omega saying, man, we really want to not get swept here. We want to force a game 3, potentially win this. You know what, let's just throw it out there. Let's bring out our aces.
Yeah.
And they brought out hella aces. A Leslie, a
Yeah.
Kadita in the mid, a Mincitar.
And
A
I like it, you know, because you picked up the Leslie. We talk about when she got popularized. Omega was the first team to do so. They were the first team to pick up the Leslie last season.
Oh,
it
yeah.
happened
Right.
it happened
Yeah.
in playoffs. They were up against Yuzong, which was weird.
Yeah.
But in this game, I think it's more forgivable, even though there's still catch.
Yep.
But again, you have to go back to the aforementioned problem of Echo, which is they are completely countered by just a single hero on the side of Smart Omega.
So the King's Calling is going to be really crucial here.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, the placement, the timing, as much as possible, has to be perfect if you're up against Echo. So for Echo right now, since that is one problem for them, a good option could be to force out the ultimate as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
Same with the Cult Altar earlier against against
to game
Tom.
1, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's like, okay, conspiracy theory hat on again.
Okay.
Man, think about it. King's Calling, Kings of the Sea.
Oh, okay.
Rough Waves, Min Sea.
See? Oh my God.
Leslie, what
I can
rises
see
all
through
of
your
that?
mind, you
Right?
know.
So this might be game 3.
For the Kings, former Kings of
The
Sea.
Sea.
Gentlemen, 3 analysts, 10 IQ.
Well,
3 for each.
Echo.
3 for each, and the remaining IQ walked away.
Hey, man. Again, conspiracy
I mean,
theory.
we get to have fun. You
Yeah,
know,
con-
it's
yeah,
not
conspiracy
all about
theory.
nerding out when you have 3 analysts at the desk.
Because like we already nerded out, guys.
Yeah.
Like, give us these moments
to have fun.
Just as how Omega had so much fun with how they drafted this game number 2.
Actually, this type of draft might be a double-edged sword for the side of Omega, knowing that for Omega, yes, they've been known to pull up heroes or pull off heroes that could surprise their enemy team. But the thing here is, it's not every day that we see these 3 new heroes to be in an exact team. So for Omega, they really have to pull this off. We are expected to see Ryzen just to jungle as much as possible, have that Dark Knight Falls just to zone out the players during an objective. And what I really like is Benny Cutie was forced to use the Purify spell.
Yeah.
And it's a bit difficult if you are a carry and you are using Purify because your movement is a bit restricted.
Yeah, it's super defensive in a way that the carry is not able to fully utilize the strength of the hero, and he cannot play super aggressive. But given the given the right circumstance, this is still the carry that Omega needs to deal with. Albay, again, the main problem here is that Miko is on the Mincitar, which you did mention that Echo can force out, but it has something that you have to do for the side of Orcas. In Smart Omega, they have, I would say they have the much higher tempo right now compared to game number 1, and up against Echo, they have the chance of taking over, especially with how Benny Cutie is positioned in this game, because he is going to have to play that defensive form of carry, and this Leslie can pop off because at the mid stages of the game, Omega this time around can actually fight back.
Yeah, actually, and even the visions that we've been mentioning about, there is also a vision. But we heard that flicker from Keller, so he is aware that there are many players from Echo on that side. And look at that!
Oh, Ryzen with the ultimate, the lights are out. Yaoi has been used, has been killed off with the retribution coming out from Ryzen. So that means Omega gets first blood, but Echo will have control over the turtle. And Ryzen didn't even bother going to that area, as they know that Echo will have this turtle for free. However, Luis being gone on by Sanford, almost falling down to critical HP, and Carltes is here to secure the turtle. Again, the King's Calling hasn't been used. Echo cannot fight anymore. They're going to be happy with what they have. Even though Omega tried to go for the contest, Echo still has gotten themselves the turtle.
look at the changes from Omega side. Actually, they are on the lead after that. They are in the lead in terms of positioning on the turtle objective. Now for Echo, they are aware that the retribution has been used by Ryzen as to why they forced Omega to be on that turtle pit and at the same time use their skills. So we see right now that for Echo, they are slowly getting that pace that it want, and even Kelra is forced to go for a tower hug on the top lane. So even Cartesi is really on par against Ryzen, who in an instant, we heard that.
Retribution battle between Carl DZ and Ryzen. I believe Carl DZ was the one who was able to take it. So it does put some form of pressure on the resources of Smart Omega. But again, this lineup can fight. So I think for Smart Omega, it's not going to matter that much. But Yawi with the Divine Judgment on the Miko, shutting off that King's Calling. But Miko actually was able to pull off the ultimate before he died. So they get the return kill on Carl TZ.
That was actually a fast King's Calling counter for Miko, but a nice play for Echo. They're really aware that they really have to force Miko to be not part of the team fight as much as possible. The placing of King's Calling is not for the upper hand of Omega. Okay, we saw that
recall plus
on
a sticker.
4K.
This is one of the quickest finger pull I've ever seen in MLBB. Like recall, the recall was fast. The recall alone was fast, and with sticker, you know.
Recall, stickers, tradings, fast fingers. This is going to be a game we're going to be seeing a lot of that. Calculated are still these two teams, but again, both of them have the potential to just surprise, play fast, strike fast, get on out of there. But so far, what we've been seeing is when one team strikes fast, they just bump heads right now, and that's what a lot of us like to see here.
Yep.
At one point, though, these two teams just have to be much more calculated in terms of what trade they're going to get. In the last one, Carl TZ fell, so because of that, his jungler rotation is a bit off right now.
Yep.
Omega have the positional advantage for this turtle, but good sense that Yawi did this. He pulled back the turtle for Echo.
Okay, we can see the position now for Echo. Even Miko is there for the vision for Smart Omega.
Yawi with a flicker in Divine Judgment, and here comes the vengeance coming out from the Arlot with a final slash. The waves are there. Cartesi, however, was able to secure the turtle, but double kill already is on Ryzen. Luis trying to get away from the carry, but Benecutie will follow up, and he gets the glue kill, but Ryzen is still on the front line without any form of jump. Benecutie gets the double kill.
Okay.
Wow.
Just when we thought that Omega is on the lead in terms of that initiation, it was King's Calling, then flicker in for Miko plus a hook with that spear. Now for Omega, the trade is they were able to secure a turret on the bottom lane, but same goes with Benecutie on the top lane. Now Echo with that nice counter engage against Omega when Ryzen was part of the team fight, they are still on the lead in terms of gold. Now looking at the gold, again there is a level gap between Benecutie and even Kelra on this game. Level gap, I mean. So even the gold here is definitely on Benecutie side, but wait, on
TZ.
the mid lane.
King's Calling has been laid out.
He just walked on out of that.
With the ultimate is there with the umbrella. They were able to take out the Kadita, and Benecutie deals the damage needed to take out the Mincitar. Finals slash coming out from the Arlot. Ryzen is able to get away, however, but Sanji goes in. He wants to take out the Hellcurt. Cartesi with a Thorn Rose onto Louise. They're able to take out the Hellcurt, and Louise is able to get out, but Echo has gotten what they came for, the kill onto the Hellcurt.
Chantel, Midnight, all of that happened because Carl TZ Crip walked out of a King's Calling.
Yeah.
He just walked on right out of it. Omega thought they had a pick off, and Echo were right there for the counter initiation, and they committed the play even more, Chantel.
Yeah, actually for the King's Calling, the main purpose of the ultimate is to stop the rapidness of Echo, but at the same time, Echo is fully aware of that. So on those moments wherein there is a King's Calling, they just move away on the ultimate and at the same time push forward to another play. So Echo right now is playing wisely against Omega, and Omega, it's as if, again, they are going back to that reacting on how Echo plays. So it is a bit difficult for them. Even Keller, yes, he hasn't been targeted here by Echo, but his movement has been limited, not the usual Kelra that we see.
Yeah, and you know what else I noticed? The King's Calling is actually a target for Sanji. in terms of where he's gonna throw his umbrella and ultimate.
Yeah.
Every King's Calling that he sees, that's where he tosses in the Yin Yang overturn.
Yeah, it's like he knows that more heroes will be grouping up here in this area because this is where they are going to try to massacre heroes. Final slash onto Luis, and a lot of dashes coming out from the Lancer. And actually, with the Arlot, we are expected to see more dashes come out from these two players, but it's just a poke at the end of the day. And Smart Omega, again, is continuously reacting to whatever Echo is doing.
Yeah, and again, theoretically, Mincetar, fantastic against the entire lineup of Echo. But what Echo are doing right is that they're just playing really smartly against it. They picked up the Kagura. The Kagura seems to be answering the Mincetar well in terms of, okay, they're going to get caught in the King's Calling, but my Umbrella will punish them, but here comes Echo. Maybe
Oh! The usage of the spell to get the vision onto the bush. With that, they get the kill on Stone. Carl TZ dodges the hook from Miko.
Now we can see the difference on the aggressiveness of Echo and Omega. If there are moments wherein Yawi is to go for a face check as much as possible, if he has the resources, why not? We go for a setup play. Now for Omega, here's the problem for them. They have the kit, they have the King's Calling, but the King's Calling is being used defensively against Echo. As why
Carl,
it's really
styling on Smart Omega.
Again, if you are Omega, as much as possible, you don't want to play on Echo's game. You want to bring in your game.
Yeah.
And they're just really reacting on those plays from Echo. If there is Divine Judgment, they go for the counter play. But at the same time, majority of the players of Echo are really positioned near that Divine Judgment. So what if they change things up?
I will give a counter view here, though. I agree with everything that you said. The times that Omega have initiated, though, it just seems like they got outplayed. Because, they are being more reactive, but the times where they are the ones being proactive, it just gets countered by Echo.
You also have to factor in the the individual mechanics that Echo has, especially with Sanford, with incredible final slashes that we've seen. Omega at this point might be feeling scared, but it's gonna be a problem later on as the Kaneda with the Petrify uses it on the Yaoi, but it's not gonna be enough. But Miko takes out the Ardent, however, but the Yin Yang overturn is there from the Kagura. They want to catch up onto the heroes of Smart Omega, but they let go of the chase as the eyes are set onto the Lord.
And once again, the Umbrella Ella of Sanji, he's going to work right now.
Just a lot of damage here for the side of Echo onto this game. Now, Omega, they are a bit struggling on how they will really play. Take note that there is a counter again for that rough waves from Storm. Regardless if he has the Petrify, we could go in for the Divine Judgment and even Carl TZ. Again, the mastery of this hero. Who would doubt that? If you are Carl TZ, those punctures and every dashes against Omega is really deadly against Omega. Now looking at the itemization. So this is an item. If you are a carry, that's just ready for blood, you know? You have 3 items. You have for the movement speed. You even have for the attack speed. So we might as well see that damage against Luis, which is supposed to be
Final slash.
Kage hero.
Final slash for Sanford. Yaoi with the pull. The hook was there coming out from Miko, but Yaoi is able to flicker out. Luis, however, has to get out with the flicker. And the split is going to be over. Sanford with the vengeance and another puncture coming out from Carl TZ. Oh, the hook was there from Miko, but Carl TZ was able to puncture out. Again, the mechanics from the Orcas are definitely showing up here against Smart Omega.
Who would have thought Kagura was the answer to a Mincetar?
Yeah, just the umbrella. I mean, it's as if Sanji has been thinking that the King's Calling is the whole range of the Yin Yang overturn. You know, so for Omega right now, one crucial factor for them on this Lord or possible pushes from Echo on the inhibitor turret is there's no really clearing of minion wave type of heroes. So it's as if you're forcing Stone to use the rough waves just to clear the minion wave, where in fact it is the skill that they need to burst the heroes of Echo.
Yeah, now that I pointed it out, it feels like Smart Omega has really bad wave clear. So if ever they're put in a position wherein they have to defend against Echo, aside from the fact that you have to worry about flickers coming down from Arlot and Kaja, it also feels just weird defending against Echo because you also have to worry about minions.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of minions, a lot of problems right now for Omega. It seems like what they have to do sounds so difficult, wherein they somehow have to approach a pick-off or team fight attempt in a way that isn't what pros aren't used to.
Yeah.
Where it's all very compact and very systematic. Because if they do that, they get an umbrella thrown in their face. But if they go, let's say, theoretically, Miko gets a hook pull, a delayed entry by the other members of Omega away from the roamer, because Sanji always throws his umbrella to where Miko is. See, even just trying to describe it already sounds so complicated to do for Omega.
It's kind of like cooking for Smart Omega, but this is not the let him cook mentality that you want, because you have so many things to follow on the on the step, on the checklist. And you also have to worry about other things, like how do we break Lord? How do we actually contest against the Lancelot?
Yeah, it's like Omega's used to cooking Filipino, but now they have to cook Italian.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
But you have Filipino ingredients.
But you have Filipino ingredients.
Yeah, that's how complicated things are.
Yeah, they have to cook an orca pasta somehow. But how can they do it?
Wait, there's an orca pasta?
No, there isn't.
That is the main problem.
Never be.
Okay.
That is the main problem.
Yeah.
That is the main problem, right?
It does not exist.
Yeah, and, they have to go up
Yawi.
against... Oh, Yawi!
Oh, with the split, the dodge from Luis is there, and the hook connects from Miko. The King's Calling has been laid out, but Echo, they're able to run away. It is just Kaja that died. Sanford was able to get out with a flicker in. Carl Easy, however, bunkers through so many heroes, and he was able to get out, and Benny Cutie comes in for the finisher.
What? The Storm! Benny Cutie has it in the bag, yo!
Again, for Omega, it was a nice set for them. They were able to pull, they were actually able to kill Yaoi on that moment. You could see the potential, but again, Echo, they were able to have a backup in terms of damage. And look at Cartesi. He went in against Killer just to break the formation of Omega during that moment. And there's no doubt that even Benny Cutie is just there dealing damage, doing the free hit against Omega, as to why even Omega can't withstand the damage that he has on this almost full item. Literally going towards that movement speed, attack speed type of item.
It's a hybrid Lancelot, you know, with you see War Axe, Counter Strike, and then three tank items. It is a hybrid Lancelot, and even Omega was not expecting that. They were like, wait, why is there a Lancelot here?
Why is there damage on this Lancelot as well?
That's around 30% cooldown reduction already for this Lancelot, with the Hunter Strike, the War Axe, and the Thunderbelt.
That's also a ton of damage as well. Like, you think that he does not deal damage? Well, for one, the Thunderbelt is there, and the physical penetration is also there. So it's kind of the complete hook is going to come out from Miko. It lands on the Ardot, and Sandberg is not able to react to that. So Smart Omega, they do have the chance to defend this one against Echo. As the initiation power is not there. Stone messes up the Petrify. It does not land, and Yaoi with the Flicker Divine Charge of Cartesi goes in, and Echo goes for the base lock, and they take the sweep against the Barangay.
And the drums of war have overshadowed and drowned out the sounds of hope for a victory in Barangay Omega as the reigning world champions, louder, and look at Yaoi, prouder right now.
Go.
There's your clippable moment.
Classic.
Snipe, Ikel, Zekilde. There's your clippable moment right there.
Classic. Classic Yaoi, I might say.
Classic Yaoi.
Vintage Yaoi.
Vintage Yaoi. And again, Echo has been playing really well throughout the series. The adjustment in terms of the heroes, and at the same time, even at that last moment, I wasn't expecting a Storm to be
they're hugging it out. They're hugging it out.
Hug it out.
See?
It's all part of the game.
Yeah,
it's all part of the game.
This is friendly competition, and I love the spirits. The taunts are there, but also the respect from Echo, the current world champions, towards the ex-Kings of Seas.
Well, we got it. We got craziness, and we got something that we did not expect. It's another sweep, dominant one at that. A Kagura, really. My brain is still going, like, seriously, it was an umbrella, a yin-yang overturn to overturn a Minsito.
Yeah, actually, I've mentioned that it's as if the King's Calling is the actual range for the yin-yang overturn.
Actually,
it's a lot easier for Sanji.
It's like
a marker.
Yeah.
It's like Omega's own penalty zone.
Yeah. Everything that is around in terms of the... Again, the range is meant to be round in MLBB. But yeah, for Sanji, it was a lot easier because there are markers that there's going to be a player here. This is where majority of the players of Smart Omega is gonna be in terms of a team fight and brilliance of drafting from Echo.
Kagura. Now, today we learned something new
Now you
every
know.
day. Now you know.
Now you know. So
Just a
whenever
Kagura.
you see Mincetar in your ranked games, just pick the Kagura. Basically, what it does is that Mincetar is setting himself their own death trap
Yeah.
for the yin yang overturn.
Yeah, and okay.
Just like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
just like that.
I like the
I like the effects that
And
you
then
have there.
it will bloom.
Yeah.
What's the skin of the
It'll
Kagura?
open.
It'll open.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll bloom.
the flower. No, you're
The-
right.
yeah, the flower, yeah, yeah.
That's right. That's
Because it's a flower. It's a lotus. There, it's a
It's a
lotus.
lotus,
Yeah. And I am flabbergasted. I'm amazed at what I saw today.
That's how amazed you are. You
yeah.
suddenly turned Texas.
Texan, I guess. I don't know. It happens to me when I get surprised. And yeah, Echo and Omega surprising us. I really thought the Mincetar had it in the bag. But then the Kagura came out and we learned something new today.
Yeah.
And it's, again, really difficult. Even though we're making it sound easy where it's just, okay, Kagura instant counter. It's also a testament to the individual capabilities of each player of Echo, knowing that they needed to play around the King's Calling well, avoid it, get out of it ASAP, and then just try to sidestep some stuff. Because we saw a lot of that, actually.
Yeah.
Members of Echo just nicely, calmly sidestepping
Just
what is
calmly walking
they're
away.
just
Yeah,
dancing.
walking away, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to just completely ignore the presence of the King's Calling, but you have to respect that it's there.
Yeah, and also
But
the Kadita knockup.
also add to that, Ben Acuity with the patience
Yeah.
that he has, he does not join fights
Yeah.
if it's not broken out yet. But when it comes to re-engaging, he's always there. This is the level of consistency that Ben Acuity has, and I would even dare say that he outperformed the gold standard in this series.
I was actually expecting for the goal to be really in par in terms of the marksman, but there was a time wherein Benekiti was really higher in terms of level, in terms of gold, in terms of everything against Kelra's hero. Maybe one possible factor for that game is the hero as well that was placed for Kelra on that moment. But yes, definitely for Echo, it's as if they are prepared on every cards that the other team is to bring in against them.
Wow. I am, again, still quite speechless. In just a moment, we are going to hear
I could feel it from here.
From Echo. Yeah, man, I'm rarely like this. And again, I wasn't even supposed to cast today. I'm glad I ended up here because we got to witness a lot has happened today. Crazy. And man, this Echo team, they're looking good. Getting really close to the playoffs, finding that consistency. Omega, though, this puts them in a situation where backs against the wall. It will end up becoming it'll end up becoming a very dramatic ending for Season 11 in terms of who's gonna even make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, they have to at least secure 2-0 in their next match, or else they're at the mercy of of NXPE. Because NXPE can climb all the way up to at least 5th place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a possibility.
That's a possibility indeed.
Yeah.
My head hurts, actually.
Yeah, just
with
thinking
all the
of-
possibilities.
Right? And we are at the crossroads right now in MPL Philippines Season 11, where we don't know. We know where we're going, but we don't know who we're going to end up going there with. But right now, we know that we are now going onto the stage with Mara Aquino and the members of Echo for their winners interview.
And just like that, kumpleto na ang ating top seed. Congratulations to Echo! Sabi ni Sanford, boom! Ay, si Yawi kaagad yung kinuha ko kasi kitang-kita sa camera, may sinisigaw siya sa kabilang team. Yawi, hindi ko marinig eh. Ano ba sinisigaw mo kanina?
Hoy lang po. Kasi po, a weeks ago pa po talaga, parang may nagsabi po sa akin tsaka nagpakita na, ako po kasi dito po nagtatrash talk kayo na una eh. Pero yung Omega po kasi pinagtatrash talk po ako ng patago. May nagsabi sa akin, so binawian ko lang po kayo sa laro. Yun po.
Palaban! At ano yun? May sabihin ka?
Wala yun po. Tapos, punta tayo sa Yawi's Food Hub.
Punta kayo sa Yawi's Food Hub. Okay. Dapat kasi pag nagta-trash talk, kayang i-back up against the world champions. Now, ito naman, Carl TZ. Oh, your parents are very nice, by the way. Ang ganda ng bunso, ang ganda ng kapatid mo. Now, yung kalaban nyo, Omega, parang binate ka ata para mag-tanks out. That's what it seemed like. At pumili sila ng mga heroes para ma-counter yon. Pero, nakakapatay ka pa rin, nakakatakas ka pa rin, makunat na, may damage pa. meron ka bang mensahe sa mga kupunan na susubukan ulit na gawin ito, na i-underestimate yung tank slot mo?
Ano lang po. Siguro po, iba na lang po.
Siguro iba na lang. If you can't beat it, you should ban it. Now, congratulations! Top seed tayo. Malaking bagay ito para sa inyong campaign. Papunta ng Grand Finals on your journey there. Now, anong mangyayari ngayon? Yung kabilang team pupunta ng Laguna, magse-celebrate. So what's in it for Echo?
Ano po, mag-EK po kami after ng regular season.
Ooh, Enchanted Kingdom. O, pag-uwi sa bahay, anong ganap?
Ano? Practice po ulit.
Ba't ka tumatawa? Anong sabi mo? Anong sabi?
Ano po kasi po, kada po umuwi ito, boy, Monopoly tsaka bilyar.
Mag-Monopoly and
Naasar lang
billiards.
po.
And that's really great to relieve some of the tension. So congratulations. Enjoy the moment when you get home. You may now take your bow. Congratulations, top seed, Echo. Echo going strong, securing the top seed. They're very motivated at may mensahe nga sila sa lahat na mag-underestimate sa kanila. You saw Yawi, you heard Carl TZ. Now we're gonna break that down in just a bit. Balikan na natin ang ating casters. Pasok.
There you have it. Echo secures the upper bracket. So at the top of our standings, you have BREN as the top seed, while Echo secures the second upper bracket slot. So they immediately go into the second round. They are comfortable, and they're happy about that.
Yeah, they have 2 lives.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot to work with, especially on playoffs. Very high-pressured situation. You don't want to just have 1 life. You know, having 2 lives is a very comfortable spot to be in. And you get to study the teams that will come into the later stages of the playoffs.
I was about to say studying the other teams, and it's a good thing because you have a day to study. At least a day to study the teams and the possible heroes that might be picked during a playoff. So a lot of intel for the teams at the upper bracket.
Okay, playoffs picture getting painted much more clearly now.
We're near.
We're almost there. Almost there. And in just a bit, we're also going to be hearing the analysis of that game number 2, which, okay, just like before, we've talked about the macro sense of it all in terms of the King's Calling, the umbrella, but I'm sure there are some little details that we missed on out there. Before we head over to the analyst segment, real quick, Midnight, what's the one other thing that stood out to you?
Honestly, I think the play style of Sanford, the selfless sacrifice on order just to get these initiations.
All right, let's see what else Chantel saw in that game that we didn't. So Chantel, let's go.
Total dominance as Echo secures the upper bracket coming into playoffs. Again, we talk about the dominance on this game. They have a huge potential on really having the early game execution with the Kagura to counter out Mincitar. During the draft, our co-casters actually mentioned that with the Mincitar pick of Miko, majority of the players or majority of the heroes are actually countered by Mincitar. But at the same time, if you are Echo and you have this type of hero, the Kagura for Sanji, and you're Sanji, it's a lot easier for you to look forward, to predict where the players of Omega will be positioning themselves during that team fight. And at the same time, even Echo, it's as if they're changing their rotation depending on the hero of Sanji and even Yawi. Remember earlier during that Grok play from Yawi, he is that initiator. But at the same time, this time around for Echo, since it is a different type of boss fight, more on the single targeting. It's as if they're just waiting for single player to be pulled by the Divine Judgment, and at the same time have Sanji counter out that King's Calling. So we could see here on the overall team statistics we're in, damage to turret is really high for Echo. Definitely Omega has been struggled on how to counter out the rotation of Omega during that moment. Monster Gold stolen, wow, it's just 62 for Omega during that moment. It means that even on the moments or even on the parts of the map wherein Omega is expected to be placed, Echo is just there to kind of get all the possible resources for Echo during that moment. And even the ace of that game is Sanji. Majority is really on the side or leaning towards Echo on that game. But again, we've mentioned how Echo was able to properly place their players, and individually, speaking of individual play, our smart MVP out that game is Benny QT on that carry play, 605 KDA. Imagine that he is up against the gold standard on that lane, but he was able to be on a level gap against Kelra, and we don't really expect Kelra to be lower on other laners, or every time there is a 1v1 matchup on the gold lane. So we can see on a Benny Cutie's movement that there is a lot of movement on that brush on the gold lane, the top lane. So it means that he's just looking forward or have those pokes against the Leslie, since the mobility or the speed in terms of movement is really high for Kat as compared to Leslie. So right now for Benny Cutie, even on those moments we're in, we expect that vision from the Leslie was able to counter that out. And again, Echo just bring out cards to counter the initiation of Smart Omega. And when we say initiation, again, we've mentioned that there are lots of nice initiation. Actually, they were able to pull off the first blood against Yaoi at that moment. But for Echo, they were able to find that perfect answer against the King's Calling. And one perfect counter for that is to force the King's Calling, or maybe not even give the opportunity for Miko to use the King's Calling at all. So we could see as well, it was a nice final slashes from Sanford, as to why Midnight mentioned that it's one of his favorites for this game. The sacrifice just to give the space to his teammates to have that final slash, and at the same time divide judgment. It's really more of the continuity of skills here for Echo, and just bringing forward all the resources they have, the damage that they have against Omega. So Benny Cutie, it was a lot easier for him to go on free hit, and we've mentioned that because of the items that he has against Smart Omega, a lot of space for him. He is at the back lanes. Look at that. After majority of the players of Echo were able to sustain or soak in the damage against Omega, they're the players, or we see Ben Cutie on the back just bringing damage to the rest of Omega. Again, a lot of 2-0s this game, but for Echo, they're just really prepared for the series, even on the new heroes that they saw on this game. So if we go back to our Infinix keys to victory again, for the side of Smart Omega, for the side of Echo, they have to punish Omega's late game decision making, and we never had the chance to see that late game decision making because of the ultra fast play from Echo during that moment. All resources went well for them, so that is just the series. I'm a short breath because of the intensity of our game, right? Renmar and Midnight.
Yeah, no, I get you, and that was fast too. That's why we're running out of breath here. That was a fast one.
Again, it was just Echo playing their tempo and completely just snowballing. And as you've mentioned, we didn't get to a point where Omega can actually answer back with some faulty late game decision. It was just Echo's game to lose. From minute 1 up to the point where Benny Cutie was able to join the fights, it was Echo dictating the game for Smart Omega, and they did not have any answers like game number 1, and that is what happened on game 2.
Looks like the learnings don't stop here. MPL Philippines is only the first day of week number 8. 2 days left to go in the regular season as the playoffs picture gets painted much clearer. Congratulations to BREN Esports and ECHO for securing their upper bracket slots, and of course to BREN Esports for being the undeniable top seed at the end of the regular season. This has been a fun day, filled with surprises, a little bit of chaos. We learned something new about each other, and it's crazy how 3 analysts can deliver jokes with like 10 IQ. This has been a fun one. From all of us here, my name is Reptar, Midnight, and Chantel. Good night, good fight. Let's toss you on over to Marakino right now to close the show.
Unang araw pa lang ng ating huling linggo ng regular season at nakilala na natin ang ating top 2 teams na mangunguna sa ating paparating na playoffs. The battle of the world champions lived up to its hype. Now the M2 world champions, BREN Esports, sweeping their opponent Blacklist International, secured not only the upper bracket but the top seed as well. Echo joins them in the top seed, thanks to Carl Tizzy. Thanks a lot. Makunat na, may damage pa. Very exciting games for today at bukas. Tatlong nagbagbakan-bakbakan ang ihahatid namin sa inyo. So dapat, huwag kayong mawawala. Once again, ako po si Mara Aquino na laging nagpapaalala. Sa harap ng pagsubok o tagumpay, laging tandaan, itaas ang lakas. Keep it good vibes, everybody. And thanks to Jan Joseph Laida, designer and MPL fan, for this beautiful outfit. See you tomorrow!
The 11th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board.